Content marketing is a strategic approach in creating and sharing valuable, audience focused content to build brand awareness, engage customers, and drive growth. It involves diverse content formats, SEO optimization, and consistent distribution. Content marketing is a long term strategy that requires adaptability and a focus on providing value to your target audience. On an average, a content marketer earns up to $72,000 per year. Content marketing is becoming a key player in the digital marketing domain. If you are looking to grab a successful career in content marketing, but not limited to content marketing, Simplilearn has got you covered with wide range of top-notch digital marketing courses. These courses make you skilled in SEO, content marketing, PPC, social media marketing, and much more with hands-on experience in tools like Google Analytics, Keyword Planner, SEMrush, and there is a huge list on the board. However, 1 year of experience is preferred to enroll in this course. Find the course link in the description box. So before we move ahead, consider subscribing to Simplilearn and hit the bell icon to never miss any updates from us. So without any further delay, over to our tutors.
I'm Greg Jarbo, and what is that? I mean, what we're going to talk about in this first module of a content marketing foundation course is literally content marketing? Okay, what is it? So content marketing is not a new concept. It's been around for over 100 years. In fact, one of the classic foundation stories of the birth of content marketing goes all the way back to the Michelin brothers in France. And the Michelin brothers, in case you haven't done your history, that's okay, little refresher right now, were two brothers who made pneumatic tires, and they were trying to sell them along with an innovative product at its time called the automobile in an era where the roads were horrible, in a place, France, where frankly people didn't like to get outside of Paris and into the provinces because, my God, what was worth going out there for? For Paris. It's all happening here. And what the Michelin brothers realized is if they wanted to sell more tires, they had to get people to drive farther and farther and use them. So what did they come up with? The concept that really is the birth of content marketing in my book was the Michelin Guide. And the Michelin Guide was unique in that it reviewed restaurants, not just restaurants nearby in Paris, but restaurants out there in the provinces. And the Michelin brothers are the ones who came up with the 1, 2, and 3-star rating system to say, this restaurant, I know it's way out there, it's bad roads, but guess what? To die for. The ratatouille, you got to have it. This is a 3-star restaurant. It's worth making the trip. And oh, by the way, since we're going to give you a guide and you have to get out of Paris in order to get there, we're going to tell you where you can find gasoline along the way, which hotels you might want to stay at overnight. And oh, by the way, just in case you have to, how to repair a flat tire, particularly if it's a Michelin tire, because it's a pneumatic, and you know what? It's quite easy to repair. And guess what? That put Michelin on the map. Why? They weren't trying to sell you more tires. They weren't telling you about the features and benefits of round or tire repair. I mean, that was in there, but it was only a how-to article, not necessarily a feature and benefit. What they were doing was they were speaking to their audience about what their audience was truly passionate about, which in Paris in 1900 was food. And by creating content that got the audience to get into their new innovative automobile and drive all the way out there into the provinces for that absolutely remarkable 3-star restaurant, people got more flats. People had to replace their tires, but it was worth it. And oh, by the way, Michelin sold more tires. So that's a great story. Every time you sort of, hit a pause and like, well, we're doing content marketing and we need to come up with a concept, think back to the Michelin Guide. It's a great foundation. So let's go to a modern definition. Where are we now in the 21st century when it comes to content marketing? Well, you can read the slide here and read the definition, and some people like reading definitions. I'm not going to read it to you, but I am going to highlight a couple of words in the definition that I think are absolutely critical to any definition of content marketing. The content that you create needs to be relevant, and it also has to be valuable. Now, if it's not relevant, then you're not actually meeting my needs or interests, and why would I be interested in it? And we've gotten way too tired of screening out the commercial that comes on, trying to sell us snow tires. And pardon me, we live in Florida. I don't use snow tires. What the heck is this commercial doing? Interrupting what I'm watching. So relevance is important. Relevance means that this content isn't going to get screened out. And the valuable can work in a lot of different ways. It can be interesting. It can be useful. Value is an interesting proposition all by itself. But that's the key to content marketing. It's not just creating more spam. It's not just throwing more trash over the fence and hoping something happens. This is something where if you've created valuable and relevant content, you know what? Your customers will find you. That's a whole different kind of proposition. I know there's some skeptics who are saying, oh, come on. Content marketing is just a fancy new name for social media marketing, right? And the answer is, well, there is some overlap, and we're going to deal with that in Module 3. But let me just be clear here. Social media content is part of what content marketing needs to create, but it can also create content for your website, and that's not the social media. It can also create content that your PR people can share with reporters or bloggers, and that's not normally considered social media content. And by the way, all of that content can be optimized. So maybe it actually is part of SEO, not social media marketing. In fact, that's the other place that content marketing really overlaps. And it's not coincidental. It so happens that around February 2011, when Google rolled out the first of its multiple versions of the Panda update, all of a sudden, even SEOs started to pay attention to content marketing. Why? Because Google changed the rules. And what Google basically said is, if your content isn't valuable or relevant, you know what? It's not going to rank very well in our search algorithm. And all of a sudden, people who had been used to putting keywords in the right places realized content matters? You mean I've got to actually tell stories that are interesting? I've got to create information that's valuable? Yeah, you can make it relevant. That's the optimization part. But, if you're trying to optimize a piece of boring, irrelevant trash, God bless you, good luck. So yeah, content marketing has grown. It's tripled in terms of web search interest since the Panda update. And we're talking about Panda 1. Of course, there was Panda 2, Panda 3, Panda 4. I mean, come on. Google is driving us in this direction. And so content marketing is pretty relevant today. Now, one of the other things that people in content marketing struggle with is, oh, but you don't understand. I do B2B content marketing, or I'm a small business, or, pardon me, I'm an enterprise. And so content marketing has to come in flavors, right? Well, possibly, maybe, on occasion. So let's just question that assumption for a second. Content marketing has been around now long enough, and enough people have done it, that some research has been conducted, and it's been conducted against B2C marketers and B2B marketers and small business marketers and enterprise-level marketers. And when they start asking key questions like, okay, we're going to try to determine what is the difference between an effective content marketer and an ineffective content marketer, let's see the results. Well, first of all, the most important thing to be an effective B2C content marketer is you need a documented content strategy. Oh, okay. All right. I mean, people who are winging it aren't as effective as people who actually have thought about this and written it down. Got it. Okay. No great insight, but, interesting to note. Secondly, they've got to have somebody in charge who oversees content marketing. Oh, Lord, does that mean we have to have a reorg? Or maybe we just have to designate somebody who reports to somebody else? Whatever. But guess what? It really helps if somebody is driving this process. Third, they've got to be using more content marketing tactics than their less effective peers. And this is not an argument more is better. This is just, pardon me, that's the way the data falls out. The people who are actually more effective are doing more different kinds of things, a broader range of tactics. And who knows, maybe it's that broader range that's part of the success formula. Same thing is true with social media platforms. The effective content marketers are using more than the ineffective ones. And last but not least, and this may be a sort of a result of the first four, by gosh, effective content marketers generally have greater percentage of the overall marketing budget in their organization. Wow, okay. That's the B2C marketing formula, but you don't understand. I'm not a B2C marketer. Yeah. Okay. So let's take a look at the B2B content marketing formula. Guess what? You need to have a documented content marketing strategy to be an effective B2B content marketer. You need to have someone who oversees content marketing strategy. It helps if you are using more tactics and more social media platforms. And guess what? You spend a higher percentage of your overall marketing budget on content marketing. Well, that's similar to the B2C content marketers. But you understand, B2B is different. Yeah, there's a couple small differences, but guess what? Overall, the top 5 criteria are similar. And when you get to small business, here's what you're going to see. Same 5 criteria. And you're in an enterprise. I know. The world is different for enterprises. Actually, not so much. So, 4 different data points. Let's net it out. There's a pattern. And the pattern is I don't care what flavor of content marketer you are. You can be B2C, B2B. You can be small business. You can be large enterprise. At the end of the day, there are 5 things that you've got to focus on if you want to be effective. We've already covered these. And are there differences between small businesses and large enterprises, between B2B and B2C? Well, sure. But they're all at the margin. What's the downside? If we don't do this, is anyone going to come in and whack us? And the answer is maybe not inside your boardroom, but it may happen on the next sales call that one of your salespeople makes. They may encounter someone I like to call the man in the chair. And the man in the chair actually refers back to a classic McGraw-Hill ad campaign from, I think, the 1960s. But basically, the guy in the chair asks, theoretically, some questions from, quote, maybe your salesperson. Okay, I don't know anything about you. I don't know about your company. I don't know about your company's product. I don't know about your company's reputation or anything about you. And so what was it you were going to try to sell me? And that's the downside of not having a content marketing program. We've actually found in the work that we've done with companies that content marketing can shorten the sales cycle. Why? You're providing people with information at key points that they need in order to take the next step. So yeah, is there a downside? Sure. Stick with the status quo. Struggle swimming against the tide. You know what? It's probably smarter to have a content marketing program. So this introductory module in the Content Marketing Foundation tried to ask and answer these questions. What is content marketing? And, oh, by the way, just how different are B2C, B2B, small business, and enterprise content marketing? And I think you've got the answer. Content marketing means that your content needs to be relevant, and it needs to be valuable. And by the way, that content can come in a whole lot of different forms. It's not just words on paper. It can be videos. It can be infographics. It can be webinars. It can be speeches that your executives are giving in public. You know, content can take a lot of different forms. But at the end of the day, you want to be an effective content marketer. And for that, we're going to go through 5 more modules. And let me give you a sort of a highlight of what we're going to cover. Guess what? We're going to cover all the things that makes you effective. We're going to cover content marketing strategy. You need a documented one. So we'll go through that. And by the way, we're going to have a little extra bonus because it's a problem that we've seen people encounter again and again, which is, all right, before we've ever done this in my organization, I need to get a budget for like a pilot project. How do I do that? What do I do when I don't have a budget and I'm trying to start up content marketing in my organization? So that's going to be covered in Module 2. Module 3, we're going to talk about someone who oversees content marketing. Yeah, right, the org chart. And what we're really going to focus in, and this happens more in larger enterprise than other organizations, but even smaller businesses someday aspire to be medium-sized businesses, and medium-sized businesses want to grow up to be large enterprises. So you know what? It's probably useful for all of us to understand where this is headed. And we'll talk about the lack of integration across the marketing mix, both within the organization, but also outside when it comes to communicating to customers. And why, guess what? Maybe it's time to organize a little differently. Third, we'll talk about all those content marketing tactics. And instead of just listing them all, because you know what? Lists are interesting, but they're not persuasive. What we're going to look at are the content marketing tactics that content marketers consider most effective. So that winnows down the list. And you're going to want to take some time and learn not just the broad range of things you could be doing, but the ones that seem to move the needle. And then we'll tackle the sort of subsidiary question of how do I produce a variety of content? You know, that seems to be a problem for some folks. Well, trust me, once you get your handle, your arms around the whole what is effective, the variety of content pretty much takes care of itself. In the 5th module, we're going to take a look at social media platforms. And again, content marketers are experimenting with a wide variety of them. The list seems to change daily as new ones are introduced. Or suddenly the list is revised because some social media platform just got acquired, but now the company that acquired it is, you know, pretty big and pretty interesting, so maybe we need to pay attention to that too. Well, guess what? Once again, we're going to do a little triage here. We're only going to look at the ones that seem to be most effective today. And you too may want to experiment with other ones beyond that, but it helps to have as a core part of your content marketing programs the ones that are the most effective. And then guess what? The challenge is not having one. The challenge is actually producing engaging content for those social media platforms. So we'll look at that in Module 5. And in Module 6, we're going to talk about budgets. Why? Because it all comes down to the budget. You got to have one. And by the way, you need to be spending a larger percentage of your marketing budget on content marketing in order to be effective. In order to do that, we're going to have to skin this cat. We're going to have to look at measurement. We're going to have to get you over the hurdle of how come it is so hard to measure the effectiveness of my content. You know, how do I know that? When can I turn around and show that to the top management so they can say, wow, that moved the needle, fine. You need a bigger budget next year? You got it. So that's what's coming. Stay tuned, strap in. This is going to be a bumpy ride at times, but guess what? It is a journey worth taking.
In the world of digital marketing, you must have heard the term copywriting. But very few people talk about copywriting. It's one of the essential skills for any digital marketer. It has been estimated that there are 1,31,200 copywriters in the United States today. It is projected that the copywriting job market will grow by 7.6% from 2016 to 2026. Freelance market for copywriting is on a roll. Companies like Upwork and Fiverr are filled with copywriters. There are many advantages of freelance copywriting jobs, like being your own boss, a flexible schedule, and doing what you love. In this video, we will try to understand the art of copywriting in very simple manner. If you stick to this video till the end, I assure you that you will have a good understanding of copywriting. Hey everyone, I'm Tushar Badiwal. Welcome to Simplilearn's YouTube channel. But before we begin, if you enjoy watching tech related content, consider subscribing to our YouTube channel and hitting that bell icon to stay tuned. So without any further delay, let's get started with the agenda for today's session. We will start off the session with an overview of what copywriting is. What does a copywriter do? Then its various types. Next, we will understand the difference between copywriting and content writing. Moving forward, we will discuss the best tools for copywriters can use. And finally, we will end the session by discussing the job scenario and salary of a copywriter. So let's begin with our first topic, what is copywriting? In simple words, copywriting is a type of writing or a set of words that will convince the reader to take some kind of action. And that action can be anything, like registering for an event, signing up for something, or buying a product. Businesses usually hire copywriters to write landing pages, Facebook and Google Ads copy, social media posts, etc. in order to convince the readers to take some action. Copywriting should be part of any marketing plan and is one of the most powerful ways to capture the attention of your target audience and motivate them to convert or purchase. Copywriting is everywhere when you go online or even offline. Remember the Google ad that you see when you search for something in Google? That is a copy. Or if you check your email box, you will find different promotional mails by different companies that are a copy. Basically, those companies are trying to convince you to take some action. It can be anything. For example, an e-commerce company will convince you to purchase some of their store products. Now let's talk about the copywriting formula. A good copy usually follows AIDA formula. A stands for attention, I for interest, D for desire, and A for action. Almost every good copywriter uses this formula to write better copies. And it's important for you in case you decided to become a copywriter or want to use copywriting in some of your work. So I hope now we understand what actually copywriting is. Now let's try to understand what does a copywriter actually do. The copywriter's job is to write words that convince an audience to take some action for the benefit of the company in which the writer works. Let's have a look at sample copywriter job description that will help you understand the role and responsibilities and the skills needed for this role. So firstly, let's have a look at responsibilities. Writing, editing, and publishing engaging content for various social media networks including Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Google My Business. Optimizing social media posts, language, tone, message based on your target audience behavior. Selecting appealing images and videos to complement text for designers to design the post. Let's have a look at some more responsibilities. Coordinate with internal teams to create advertising posts for clients. Respond to questions and comments on social media pages promptly and accurately. There can be more responsibilities to a copywriter depending on what the company needs, so it varies from company to company. Now let's see what skills a company looks for in a copywriter. Hands-on experience using various social media platforms to advertise. Solid knowledge of SEO, keyword research, and analytics tools, example Google Analytics. Familiarity with online paid advertising. Let's have a look of some others requirement and skills. Ability to deliver creative web content, text, image, and video. Excellent communication skills. So now we know what copywriter does. Let's explore its various types. SEO copywriting. It means optimizing the copy using keywords to make it rank at the top of the search results. For example, if you optimize a company's product page correctly through SEO copywriting, then there is a high chances that your sales page would rank at the top of the search result, which would result in more sales. Next, we have social media copywriting. This type of copywriting is used on social media platform. For example, a catchy title is used to grab the attention of the user, and emoji is used to make the copy interesting or frame the right message in order to convince the audience to take some kind of action. Next, we have technical copywriting. The motive for writing technical copy is to explain the latest technologies or the technical product that a company wants to sell. For example, if you have a tech product, you need a copywriter who can explain the technical aspect, use case of the product, and how that product helps the customer. Direct response copywriting. It is a type of communication that is compelling enough to be able to influence the customers to act. In other words, any copy that encourages the recipient to act immediately and the response from the reader are measurable. Another type of copywriting is public relation copywriting. In public relation copywriting, you write newsworthy things to catch your audience attention and gain their trust. It helps you quickly earn an audience with credible sources, and as a result, your business can promote its product and services more effectively. Whenever you search on Google, you see some ads at the top of the search results that are also made up using copywriting. Following that, next we have ad copywriting. This type of copywriting is used to create effective ads. Generally, it's used in Facebook and Google ads. Now we reach the second last type of copywriting in the list, which is email copywriting. As you understood by the name, all the copy that we use in emails are email copywriting. It includes a good subject line, nice preview text, an intro sentence for the body of your email, and a strong call to action. Now let's discuss our last type, which is brand copywriting. Brand recognition and connecting with customer begin with communicating what your brand represents. Your brand image can be conveyed through writing. It can be in the form of logo, a song, or a phrase. To create brand copy, you have to think about your customers first. With this, we have come to the end of this copywriting types list. Before jumping into the next topic, I have a task for you. Just pause this video and in the comment box, type your favorite type of copywriting. I hope you are done with the comment. Let's move forward to our next topic, which is difference between copywriting and content writing. Firstly, let's discuss the difference based on the overall goal. Copywriting is a type of writing aimed at selling a brand. On the other hand, content writing is all about building a perception in consumers' mind. The next difference is based on the length of the content. A copywriter typically writes short form of copy, and a content writer writes long form of copy. Text written by copywriter is brief and engaging. Content writer often have to write more in-depth content explaining a process or topic. Now, what's the difference when it comes to a role in a company? A copywriter is someone whose primary role is to create copy, and a content writer often does more than just write. It may be a writer, blogger, executive, or anyone else. Lastly, let's discuss the difference based on SEO. A good copywriter understands SEO, but when it comes to a good content writer, they should know about the advanced SEO. Now let's explore some of the helpful tools for a copywriter. Copy AI. It's an AI tool, and the greatest thing about this tool is it's very simple to use. You can generate Instagram caption, product description, and even product value proposition by just providing a few words. It's a paid tool, but it has a 7 days free trial. The next tool that we have is Grammarly. Grammarly is a free online tool that finds mistakes in your writing and suggests improvements. As you write, Grammarly will underline any mistake you have made and offer suggestions on how to fix them. Additionally, it has a plagiarism checker and a punctuation checker. However, for additional features, you need to go with Grammarly Premium. WordTune. With the help of Grammarly, you can fix your writing mistakes. But when it comes to rephrase and rewording your content without sacrificing flow, tone, or meaning, WordTune came into the picture. Hence, the combination of Grammarly and WordTune is the best for the copywriter. And it's a paid tool, but have a free plan for beginners. The last tool in our bucket is Wordsmith. If you rely on data in your day-to-day decisions, Wordsmith is perfect for you. It can be used for everything from journalism to financial reporting because it produces natural sounding content. Simply create one template and set up a few variables, and Wordsmith will generate multiple alternative scripts. For example, you can write chatbot scripts for responding to various complex customer requests. Now comes the most interesting and the last topic of our session, the average salary of a copywriter. Several factors determine the income a person can expect, including experience, the size of your company, your location, and your industry. Copywriters are the brain behind advertisements, explaining what the product does and why people should buy it. They are also responsible for shaping the brand's identity and tone of voice. Copywriters are a valuable resources for businesses as they are responsible for writing the first impression customers get of a company. A copywriter earns approximately 3,64,000 per annum in India. and in the US, he/she can earn roughly $53,000. And when it comes to a senior copywriter, the average salary in India is 5,86,000 per annum, and in the US, he/she can roughly earn $78,000 per year.
Content marketing is becoming a key player in the digital marketing domain. If you are looking to grab a successful career in content marketing, but not limited to content marketing, Simplilearn has got you covered with wide range of top-notch digital marketing courses. These courses make you skilled in SEO, content marketing, PPC, social media marketing, and much more with hands-on experience in tools like Google Analytics, Keyword Planner, SEMrush, and there is a huge list on the board. However, 1 year of experience is preferred to enroll in this course. Find the course link in the description box.
In most organizations, the people who are doing search engine optimization have been doing it for a while. And I can tell you, because I've been doing it for a while, that in the old days, it was mostly technical with a little bit of content sprinkled in. So for argument's sake, let's say 80-20. 80% of what an SEO needed to learn how to do had to deal with your meta tags, your metadata, CMS systems, and blah, 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 blah. And, oh, by the way, yeah, you needed some content on the page. Well, here we are a long time past that. And if this, you look through this slide here, for example, this is the latest guidance from Google on the kind of content they want. And if you look through the list here, most of the items on it aren't technical. And frankly, most of it is content. And if you think about it, what this means is that the job description for SEO has changed dramatically, particularly beginning with the Panda update, but then including the Penguin update, and then Hummingbird. And pardon me, more and more and more, SEOs had better be interacting with the people who are creating quality content, engaging content, credible content, useful content. It's not enough just to put keywords in the right places anymore on pretty thin content. That won't get you where you want to go. So again, different paths, maybe the same direction, but the folks in content marketing and the folks in SEO frankly need each other, and they may or may not recognize it in your organization, but it's a starting point. This is a conversation you probably need to have.
Content marketing is complex. It often overlaps with other elements of marketing. The most typical overlaps are with social media marketing and SEO, and there probably already are in your organization those kind of groups. The SEOs may be on one floor, and the social media marketing people may be in a different building, whatever. But the new success formula says we got to get all those folks to the same table. Now, we may have to do it virtually. We may have to use, webinars in order to hold those kind of meetings. Who knows? But the point is that, the world is shifting, and organizational structures need to shift with it. And again, that's not something you can change tomorrow, but that is something that will evolve over time. And for what it's worth, it turns out that, let's just say, the people who are in SEO, they may or may not admit it at first, but they absolutely need to work with the people in content marketing. Why? Because basically after Panda and Penguin, the rules shifted. And it's less about your title tag. And it's mostly focused now on the quality of your content and whether that content is link worthy, which means it's really compelling content. It's remarkable content. That's content that's going to get people to link to it because, wow, that's, and that's not necessarily part of the skill set that was required to be a successful SEO 5 years ago or 10 years ago. So again, you got to get these folks to the table. They've got to work together, and again, that means the organizational structure probably needs to shift. And the same is true with the social media marketing folks. They went out and their initial goals and objectives were, get lots of likes, get lots of fans, get lots of views, get lots of Twitter followers. Why? Because that seemed to be the metric that the platform gave us. And so we used it to measure success. Well, it turns out none of those measures actually measure real success, because they're focused on being successful on the platform. Boy, I have lots of fans. As opposed to being successful in business. Wow, that generated lots of leads and sales. So there is a real discrepancy between, let's just say, the center of gravity. Okay? It's not Facebook. You're not going to make a lot of money on Facebook. It's just not set up to do business. You got to get those folks that you've engaged in Facebook to your website where they can buy something. And that's a, radical shift for all the folks who are in social media marketing to say, wait, time out. But that's not what I was told a couple of years ago. And the answer is that's correct. What we've learned over time is that being engaging is useful if it's harnessed to a benefit. And I'll tell you, in most organizations, the social media marketing people are under a cloud because they aren't delivering business benefit. And they too need to learn to work with the content marketing people in order to do that. And in some cases, they may not be creating the right kind of content that actually generates leads and sales, as opposed to, is inexpensive to create to get my next fan or my next Twitter follower. So the key metrics here are no longer how many likes or comments or shares did you get. That's nice. But how many sales leads did you generate? What percentage of those converted into sales? That's a radical change. But again, it helps when the social media marketing people are at the table with the content marketing people.
There is a difference between content strategy and content marketing. Where content strategy focuses on the actual content, content marketing focuses on the outcome. Content strategy is about the management and creation of the media, the tools you are using, the resources you have available, what are the types of content you will be creating. Where content marketing is all about the customer. Who are you targeting with the content? How well do you know this person? And most important of all, what is the expected business outcome? Are you creating and sharing content to build brand awareness, or are you aiming to increase revenue? More generic content marketing questions are how it fits within your overall digital marketing strategy. What does your content calendar look like? And also, by sharing your content, are you exposed to risk in any way? Does your content work for every market? Content creation framework. A good way to start putting together your content marketing strategy is by creating your content marketing framework. It enables you to map out the required content along the customer buying journey, while considering the impact it has on your online presence, your social media, your website, and your sales. Between these two areas, the customer journey and your overall digital marketing approach, you have the three types of content you need to focus on: link content, conversion content, and authority content. Link content is content that drives traffic from the internet and from your social media to your website. This is content that is created with the goal of attracting quality backlinks for SEO purposes. Conversion content is content that drives web visitors to the next stage in the buying cycle through call to actions or CTAs. This is the content that is created with the goal to convince prospects that they should buy from you. Authority content drives web visitors to sales through call to actions and drives repeat traffic to your website. This is content that is created to build a community of people that trust you and see you as the expert in your field. This is a useful structure to organize your content, and it keeps your focus on the customer needs and the impact on your overall digital marketing objectives. Each type of content has different requirements. Link content needs to be high quality and often based on research, so other websites can refer to it. It's all geared towards generating high-quality backlinks to your website, which Google sees as very important for your search ranking. Make this content fail-proof, repurpose it, and promote it like crazy. Conversion content is based on helping the customer to go through the buying cycle. This will only work if you understand what they need and that your content clearly articulates that you can help them solve their problem. But on top of that, it is vital in this stage that your content gives them the option to move to the next stage through very clear and compelling call to actions. And authority content is a logical follow-up from your link content. It is content that confirms you are an expert in your field. It helps you to build trust, as long as you are truthful, transparent, and show integrity. And done continuously and consistently, it helps you to deepen the relationship with your prospects and your clients. Content marketing strategy. There are various steps in developing your content marketing strategy. The obvious thing, of course, is to start with setting your objectives. But additionally, you need to do a number of things. Create customer personas, create listening outposts, write your brand story, develop your channel strategy, create your content marketing playbook, measure your content marketing, and establish your content marketing ROI. Let's look at these elements of your content marketing strategy in a bit more detail. Customer personas. A vital step in your content marketing strategy is creating customer personas. This is a concept that comes from the user interface and design world. In a customer persona, you look at things like demographic characteristics like age and gender. But it is important to add to this what their pain points are, what is their affinity with technology, where do they hang out online, and what are their interests and their hobbies. Once you completed your customer personas, print them out and put them on the wall in your office. And make sure you add them to your briefing document when you ask your agency to create a new campaign. HubSpot has a great free tool to create customer personas. By asking a set of questions, it will put it in a format for you that you can share and print. And you can tailor it to your own requirements and add your own sections. It includes things like education, social networks they use, preferred method of communication, tools they need to do their job, goals and objectives, challenges, and how they gain knowledge. Establish listening post. An important part of your content marketing strategy is to listen to what people are talking about online. You can find out what they think about your brand, the topics they talk about, and if there are any issues. It is also great to listen online to find good content you could share. You don't have to share just your own content. There's nothing wrong with sharing relevant content from others. Obviously, when I say listening online, I mean this in the widest sense. Watching videos, reading articles or blogs, looking at photos or infographics, or literally listening to podcasts. Here are a few tools you can use to listen. Feedly is a reader app on which you can listen to live RSS feeds. Google Alerts and Talkwalker are tools that will send you a notification for certain terms that you have set. You can use Google Trends to find out search trends for keywords. Your brand's story. The next thing you need to work out for your content marketing strategy is your brand story. What is your mission, your vision, your values? What is the story of your company, your CEO? Remember, people want to listen and share stories. When I search for IKEA on Google, you get an understanding of what I mean. Stories about the history of the company, the founder of the company, the way they work, the employees, what makes them unique. And the more twists, turns and uncertainties in these stories, the more people will love them. And it gets even better if you can show them how you overcame obstacles and bumps in the road. This will increase your credibility. A good example of this is Elon Musk from Tesla. He came from a very simple background but kept on following his beliefs, even when he was nearly bankrupt. He kept on going and look where he is now. An important element of defining your content marketing strategy is understanding of what kind of brand you are. The type of brand you are determines the type of social media you will get with your content. If you are a basic brand, you won't get many people to talk about you, let alone comment on your social media posts. You're just fulfilling a basic need. The only way these brands can get engagement on social media is to turn themselves into a funny brand, like Blendtec blenders who launched the Will It Blend campaign. If you are a functional brand, you will have customers who ask questions about how to use your product. You need to respond to that by offering content in which you answer their questions. Exciting brands don't have a problem to get social media engagement with their content. They have thousands of fans who love to talk about the brand. Harley Davidson is a classic example. These brands need to keep on posting amazing content that become almost like collector items for their fans. Finally, vital brands are for the greater benefit of mankind. Greenpeace, World Wildlife Fund, UNICEF, they have no problem in getting engagement and discussions, but they should be very alert on what people are talking about and try to find influencers that can help them spread their cause. So think about this when you start putting your content marketing strategy together. It will guide you on the type of content and campaigns you should create and the types of calls to action you should set. Social channel strategy. Before you're going to decide on the type of content you're going to create, it makes sense to agree on the social media channels you are going to use. In the listening stage, you have learned on which channels your clients hang out. So now you're going to make sure you are there as well. You're going to synchronize the branding, the key messages, and the campaigns to grow your followers on these channels. You need to make sure you understand the latest features and trends on these social channels. It is also good to do a content gap analysis. What type of content do you already have for each channel and where are the gaps? So you know what type of content you need to create. Here is a useful template you can use for this. It shows you the channels, the structure, the tone of voice for each channel, and the desired action. The gaps will give you an indication of the work you need to do to make sure you have a coherent content marketing strategy. Content Marketing Playbook. So now you are in a position to decide on the type of content you're going to create. Here is a list structured by the 3 types of content we saw earlier: link, conversion, and authority content. Link content and authority content can be fairly similar. It's more on the promotion side where they differ. But the conversion content needs to be organized along the customer journey, from awareness to evaluation to purchase. We call this the marketing playbook. You need to create your own by selecting the right content for the right stage. Measuring content marketing efforts. You can measure the traffic you get through your content, you can measure the engagement you get, and you can measure the sentiments. Whether you are targeting consumers or businesses, the metrics are the same, but the priorities may differ. Today, lead generation is seen as the number 1 KPI when it comes to measuring the success of your content marketing, closely followed by traffic generation to your website. These metrics show how your content marketing efforts are succeeding, but you need to go a level deeper to discover what specific content, campaigns, channels, and efforts are most effective in driving value. And in the end, whether you are in B2C or B2B, it comes down to measuring the ROI of your content marketing. How much money did you earn from your content marketing in relation to the cost you incurred in creating and distributing it? The things that can improve your ROI are quality of your leads, sales, web traffic, engagement, SEO success, and brand exposure. And remember, improved ROI is not just based on more sales. It can also be based on lowering costs. Planning your content marketing strategy. Planning your content marketing strategy is very important. There are so many things you need to take into consideration. If you don't put some structure into this, you may lose control. It is best to create your content marketing process guide. In this guide, you specify how you create and manage your content, how you optimize and curate, how you listen and engage in conversations, and how you measure your content marketing. Besides this, there is the tactical stuff like roles and responsibilities. What are the style and writing guidelines? And similar, what are the guidelines for posting and publishing? And make sure you communicate the process guide to the relevant people in your organization. You may want to put a training together to the people who will work with this on a daily basis. A vital part of your process guide is the content marketing calendar. It's the calendar that contains your content production and publication schedule. There are many templates and tools for this on the internet. My favorite ones are Trello.com and Google Calendar. The most important part of it is that it is a collaborative tool, so you can schedule the calendar with your colleagues or with your client. You can give people viewing or editing access. You can use color codes for the different types of content or for the different channels. Becoming a content marketing company. To give you a framework on how to organize your content marketing strategy in your company, you can look at the Content Marketing Institute 4 business models for content marketing. They can be mapped in a quadrant with strategic importance on one axis and internal, external focus on the other. You're a player when your content marketing strategy is focused on supporting teams within the organization, like your product marketing or marketing communication teams. Most companies start their content marketing like this. It's seen as a contributor. You're a performer when your content marketing is seen as a center of excellence in your organization. It has an external focus where audience segmentation is key. It can be seen as a support function to other parts in the organization. You're a processor when you centralize certain content functions, but not the actual creation of it. Your corporate team may create the content campaigns with the corporate guidelines, where your local teams are responsible for local content creation to execute a campaign. And you're a platform when you approach your content marketing as a strategic business within your business. Often this is done on a corporate level, and this is separate from local content marketing initiatives. So you need to understand where you are today and have a vision of where you want to go.
Right out of the gate, let's start talking about knowing your audience. Okay, so content is all about writing for a particular audience. So it's just like speaking, except when we're speaking to somebody, we're speaking directly to them. Content is very similar. And so we have to be able to know our audience ahead of time. So what you can do is collect demographics of your target audience based on who's coming to your website. So you can get that data in Google Analytics under audience. Email subscribers. I mean, who is subscribing to your emails? Who do you already have in your email database? And you can look at social media. I mean, you look at Facebook. You can look at the people who are already connected to you. Okay, these are just some three of many examples you could be doing to gather data on your audience. Okay, you have to know who your audience is before you start writing. You know, for a successful content marketing strategy, you really just need to know your audience. And basically, you're going to segment them based on their interests. So that content is going to be catered to that audience. Okay, so if it's an audience that likes a specific, product that you offer or feature that's part of that product that you offer, then that's the segment you're going to be writing about. So you need to collect your data on your audience ahead of time. And then you're going to segment that audience, okay? So you're not going to write content for everyone because the shoe doesn't necessarily fit for everyone, okay? The shoe has to fit for a specific foot. And in this case, we're talking about an audience. We need to be able to segment our audience out. And you could certainly segment them out by age, by gender, by education level, by income, by interest. I mean, these are just some of the examples. Again, it could be new returning or new users versus returning users. It could be users who have purchased from you in the past versus users who haven't purchased from you in the past. It could certainly be an age range, or it could be even going further on interest level, or a combination thereof. Okay, so for example, you can get that demographic information using Google Analytics. You just got to go into Analytics, under Audience, under Demographics. You're going to see age, and age is broken out by age range, and then you're going to see gender. So you're going to see a breakdown of gender. And use that to your advantage. So if you're going to, write some content and 99% of your traffic is female, the age of 18 to 24, then, that content's going to be catered accordingly. So you could certainly go to Facebook Page Insights and get some really good demographic data there, because Facebook is all about demographics. Okay, so you could see exactly, how many fans you have broken out by men versus women. And then you could see, again, same thing as Google Analytics, you could see an age range breakout. You could use Twitter Analytics. I mean, Twitter shares some really good insights into education level. So, if you're dealing with, highly sophisticated people who have master's degrees or even higher, or let's just say even on LinkedIn, that the majority of the people you're trying to target are C-level, meaning CEOs or CFOs or CMOs, chief marketing officers or chief executive officers, then you're going to cater your message a little bit different than, say, mid-range managers or even high-range managers or even VPs. So use your audience information that you collect on these various platforms to your advantage. Okay, so let's jump into number 2. We want to create high quality content. Now, I know this sounds like a given, but, and I say but heavily, there's not a lot of high quality content out there on the internet. So separate yourself first and foremost. Always, always, always create high quality content. It's going to result in a lot of things that are going to benefit you. One, you're going to come across as, somebody who knows what they're talking about, and that's going to help increase your brand awareness. Okay, when you increase your brand awareness, people know about you, so it's likely going to increase traffic to your website. Or if you're on social media, if you produce good high quality content, people are going to share that content. Okay, so from an SEO perspective, it can improve website ranking, meaning if you have good quality content, and it's really focused in on a specific topic or a certain set of core words, keywords, then you're going to rank. Improves website dwell time, meaning, hey, you got good content. People are going to hang around to see what else you have to offer. Okay, so it's no secret that, good content usually leads to, quality engagement. And then certainly last but not least, you can gain a lot of leads here, meaning, hey, somebody likes what you have to say, whether it's a video or blog post or infographic, people are going to become more interested, more engaged, spend more time, and that's all going to funnel through to somebody taking that next step in the funnel and becoming more interested in your service or even purchasing one of your products. So creating high quality content involves brainstorming topics and terms. You got to do the upfront work. Due diligence is at work here. So brainstorm some topics. Use a keyword research tool to gather results. So if you have a topic, one of the benefits of quality content is rankings. Go to Google's keyword planner. Understand how much quality and understand how much competition each keyword has, or understand how much volume each keyword has. That's what's available in Google's keyword planner or any keyword planning tool. You always want to create original content. Okay, so you don't want to plagiarize or take somebody else's content, and then you want to support that content with compelling headlines. So if you have a piece of content, you got to get somebody's attention, write a nice headline that's going to grab their attention. Okay, so give valuable content to your readers and add resources from well-known sites. So if you do borrow, say, a data point from another source, then, cite that source. You also want to create engaging and thought-provoking content. Get somebody to think. I mean, people are going to read your content because they don't know the subject matter. They're interested in the subject matter, and they want to be able to spend the time taking something away from that content. Follow a logical structure and use relevant images. I can't stress this one enough. Just throw things on a web page, put some structure to it. And if you have to, break it out. If you feel like you have too much content, there's no harm in breaking it into part 1 versus part 2. Get people, tease them a bit. Get them to come back and read part 2. Okay, use different content forms in case somebody's interested. Maybe you want to capture some data. Prefer short paragraphs to make the content readable. Remember, if you're talking to C-level folks, maybe you don't have to dummy down the content, so to speak. But if you're dealing with, folks or people that are right out of high school or still in high school, then adjust your content and format and paragraphs accordingly. And then update the content as well. Just because you publish it doesn't mean that it's done. I mean, when we're talking about a web page, we're talking about something that is actively changing or can change. The medium that is dynamic. Okay, so if a data point's changed, go back in and update that data point. And then let people know about it because they may want to come back and check in to see how much that data point's changed. So these are all, good takeaways for creating high quality content. There's some other things that you should be aware of, grammatical mistakes. You need to avoid those. There's no reason for grammatical mistakes. Today's technology doesn't allow for it. And hey, listen, we all have friends, we all have colleagues. My desk is sitting next to a colleague who's more than happy to read something before it gets published. So take advantage of the resources you have available. No reason for it, because if you have a grammatical mistake, you just lost a lot of credibility. Don't be afraid to add a clear call to action at the end of your content. If somebody's interested in reading it, they're probably going to be interested in taking the next step, whatever that next step is. Okay, so create content that fulfills viewers' requirements, meaning if somebody's searching for something and your content shows up in the search results, then they're actively looking for you. What are you offering them? Is it fulfilling their requirements? Don't be afraid to use examples throughout your content. In fact, work in or integrate some case studies in there. Show clear examples to stress your points. And then just don't put words on a web page. So break up that content with an image that's going to be visually appealing. Okay, and you can add images from public domain sites, meaning stock imagery, if that's what's going to help create visually appealing content. And then give more information to your audience. And we say prefer to give more information, meaning, hey, going back to the content I was saying about breaking it up, organizing it, if you have more information, don't withhold it. Have them come back and read a secondary blog post or secondary piece that supports the original. Now, we want to move from high quality content to running A/B test. A/B test is so important. Why? Because with A/B split testing, you can increase your conversion rates. Okay, so 4 elements to test in your content marketing strategy. So if you have content, say a blog, and you're testing that blog, test out the images. Test out the forms. Do you have a long form or short form? Test out the content length. You can have a variation that is a lot shorter than the original. Does that increase or decrease bounce rates? Play around with call to actions. Call to actions do matter. Do you want to use a softer call to action, a softer tone, or do you want to use something very direct and strong? Test call to actions to see what's going to get people to move closer closer to purchasing and through that funnel. So A/B testing to me is something that should be naturally done. With Google Optimize, it's free. So with images, you could test a lot of different variations of images, anything from people to, outlandish imagery to just something very stock and neutral. But just make sure that those images are relevant to the post. Test the length of that content. Again, if you know that your average time on page is very low, don't write something very long. Write something that you think is going to stick with that time on page. But on your A/B test, create something maybe a little longer. If it's engaging enough, maybe somebody's going to stay a little bit longer on the page. So, create a variation that's going to play with that length. Okay, so use analytics to your advantage to figure out, as a baseline, what amount of content is getting people to stay on the page. Then see if you can push the envelope one way or the other. Okay, improving the page with sign-up forms. Really, what you want to do is create a user-friendly experience. So when you have sign-up forms, and don't make them non-intuitive, don't make them difficult. Link maybe up to Facebook or Google, so if they're creating an account, they can create an account via Google or Facebook. Or, don't put too many forms on the page. And then on those CTAs, as I mentioned, play around with the tone. You can also play around with the color. I test color all the time. Believe it or not, color does matter. Don't use red, use green. People react to different colors. But again, you have cultural variances as well. So you got to take that into account. If you're in the Middle East or the Far East, Asia, color schemes and what you say matters, and it changes versus, say, Europe or the West. Okay, so keep that in mind when you're making changes on color or tone or placement and things of that nature. So you want to conduct a competitor analysis. So we're talking about creating high quality content, testing that content, brainstorming some topics, looking at your audience. You're doing all this work. You might as well take the next step and figure out what it is your competitors are doing. So you can opt for competitive analysis by identifying your competitors' top performing content for specific topics. Okay. And so really what we're trying to do here is improve our conversion rates. So what are your competitors doing? What are their baselines? We can maybe up that ante. That data is also available in Google Analytics. So you can look at benchmarking reports in Google Analytics to get some form or fashion. You can also go to Facebook and look at your competitors' Facebook pages and see what's performing in terms of engagement. But what you want to do is find out your strongest competitors by using search engines or check which websites are competing with you. And again, that could include Facebook as well, or maybe even LinkedIn. So you go with the search engine route, you can always type in that coveted keyword that you want to be found for, see who's ranking ahead of you, and you can see the metadata, meaning the title tag and the meta description. You can actually see, hey, what are these guys writing that's getting them recognized in the search engine rankings? So you can certainly, if you go to the search engine route, you can certainly leverage an SEO platform like SEMrush or Moz or something like that. That's going to allow you to get some good insight on competitor information. So keep in mind there are SEO platforms that will give you information on your competitors. And that's what these SEO platforms are good for. So number 5, moving on, choose a suitable content format. So now we've done all this homework. We know what we want to say. We know who we want to say it to. We're ready to do some testing, but we need to find a format because it's not always about a web page per se, meaning content on a web page. There's not always about a blog post with content in that blog post. Okay, we need to decide the type of content that's going to fit what we're trying to say. So again, you can go the traditional route with just posting a blog post. And there's nothing wrong with that because with a blog post, you can incorporate video and imagery. You could also go a more harder route. When I say harder, more, I say official route with an ebook or case study. Something that a user is going to be able to take away with maybe download. Okay? Something more official, something more in-depth, something with a harder stamp on it. So that shows individuals that you've taken the time, you've done this homework, you've done this research, you've done some really in-depth analysis, and now the proper format for that is not a blog post, it's an ebook. Now, if you're into talking, like I am, then you could certainly do a podcast. And podcasts are always popular depending on the topic. So you got to be aware of the topic. Now, videos are always a good option. You got the likes of video and YouTube and some other, video platforms out there that allow you the ability to get found very quickly, especially with the likes of YouTube. People use YouTube before they go on to purchasing a product. So think about that. So if you're trying to get somebody, if you're trying to sway an audience to move from being a brand awareness and a loyal, customer to taking the next step, okay, to purchasing more or purchasing for the first time. And so videos kind of help convey that. Now, if you're trying to convey a lot of different points, then an infographic might be your best option. Instead of having to write out all those points, try using an infographic to convey those points visually. Now, again, with blog posts, it should have valuable content that can be shared by your website visitors on social. So that's the key. Make sure you have those shareable social icons. Now, with ebooks, it should have longer and in-depth content, and it shouldn't be published frequently. So maybe if this is something you're doing annually, then ebook could be the format. With a case study, what you should have a customer story that succeeded in you solving that customer's problem. So the case study is always there for somebody to get an idea of what you're all about. Infographic is just visualizing data in a more organized way, in a more visual way, so somebody understands what you're trying to convey. Now with that podcast, again, suppose your audience doesn't have an interest in reading. Again, it could be a certain age, certain gender, a certain culture. Hey, everybody absorbs information differently. So think about it. Ask yourself, is a podcast the best way to communicate to my target audience? And then videos are highly engaging. They're also shareable on blog posts and pretty much most, if not all, social media platforms. So once you've done that, once you choose the proper format, you want to choose a content management system that's going to work for you. So you want to be able to choose something where you can plan appropriately, produce, manage, publish, and measure results all in one place. There are plenty of content management systems out there that will help you do all of those things. Okay, so some examples are WordPress, HubSpot, Binder. We can list hundreds. If you're into blogging, WordPress is the way to go. If you're into building out landing pages that you want to, share, HubSpot could be the way to go. Okay, there are lots of available options out there. So moving on, number 7, target your audience using emails. Okay, so what are we talking about? Well, we all know what emails are. Emails help us to communicate directly with our target audience and convert them to leads. So email is a good way to follow up with your audience. So if you've done a podcast, follow up with an email. Maybe get them to, fill out a survey via email based on that podcast. Or if you create a podcast about some data that you talked about in that podcast, follow up that with them via email with an infographic perhaps, okay, built into the email. Okay, there's lots of ways that all these formats can complement themselves via email. Okay, you could certainly take a blog post and package it into an email and have a link pointing back to the blog post, maybe as a teaser. Or if you're doing a series of blog posts, you could tease that in an email. So an email is a good way to, follow up with your target audience indirectly or directly. And when we say indirectly, you can collect emails and send out those emails with, certain information. Or what you should be doing is targeting and segmenting your emails just like you are your content. So if you're producing content for a certain audience, then make sure that particular audience gets that same email. Now, some of the email content that you could share with your target audience are newsletters, okay, seasonal emails, promotional emails, automated messaging. And what we mean by automated messaging, hey, if somebody just purchased from you, send them a thank you email. Maybe follow up a couple days later with another email with a survey. Or what you could do is, if you know who your loyal customers are, target them with a promotional email. So there's lots of ways to slice and dice content via email. Okay, just make sure you know your target audience is. There's lots of things you can do in email. Again, you can complement lots of different formats within email, as I mentioned before, with a podcast or a blog post. So keep all that in mind. Email is a good way to communicate with your audience. Okay, the last point we want to make here is use native ads. Okay, so we talk about native ads. It's one of the smartest ways to connect your audience with your brand. So, for example, this is a native ad on BuzzFeed. Okay, it's about 15 bands that probably wouldn't exist without Led Zeppelin. Okay, so for you folks out there that don't know who Led Zeppelin is, a rock group from the 70s, late 60s, 70s, okay, disbanded in 80, 81, 82, early 80s, okay, but people grew up like myself listening to Led Zeppelin. Okay, so you could see the headline here, 15 bands that probably won't exist without Led Zeppelin. I'm interested in who those bands might be. Even if you don't know who Led Zeppelin is, okay, you might be inquisitive to say, okay, who is this Led Zeppelin group and what are these 15 bands? The key here is not necessarily the headline or Led Zeppelin per se, but it's a native ad. And it's sitting next to content talking about music. Okay, so according to Forbes, online audiences are 25% more likely to look at a native ad than at a banner. And so that native ad, in this case, we're talking about music, needs to be sitting or accompanied alongside content talking about, in this case, music. It would help if it was rock music, just music in general might get enough to pique people's interest. Okay, so if you're going to create content, align that content with something that's, naturally going to fit. And that's why we call them native ads, because they're native to the content that they're associated with. So finally, after all that's said and done, when all you've done is create good content, follow up via emails, targeting your audience, and associating that content with, content natively, then you can always measure your content performance. So this is my favorite part of it all. You go in analytics, go into Facebook Insights, you want to go in and check out how that content's performing. And you want to do that because you want to be able to see what's performing, what's not performing. The key here is associating the content with KPIs. That's really the key. So measuring the right metrics can help you understand whether your content is engaging or not. So again, measuring the right metrics. Okay, so when we're talking about a video, you're not necessarily going to look at page views, you're going to look at video views. So, some of these basic metrics of users and sessions and page views, bounce rate, dwell time, that's all great, but you just need to make sure that you're aligning the right metric with the right asset. So for example, if you have a case study in an ebook, you want to make sure that you're measuring how many downloads the ebook or the case study received. Again, with the video, you want to measure video views. Now, if you're packaging up emails and sending them out to your target audience, you want to make sure you look at open rates and click rates. Okay, so a lot of things you can be looking at. So make sure you choose the right metrics because there's hundreds and hundreds of metrics to choose from. So just be aware of all the different metrics that are available. If you're in it for search, okay, how much traffic getting from search? Where are you ranking? So there are a lot of things you need to think about. So think about the content that you're producing and think about how you want to be able to measure that content. So let's go back over our checklist here. So what you could do is create an editorial calendar. In fact, I would highly suggest you create an editorial calendar in order to keep track of all the content you've done over a period of time. Are you making your content worth reading? That means, are you checking the results of that content? What we just went over, measuring the content. Is it worth reading? Have a column set up in that editorial calendar. Performing or not performing. If it's not performing, don't do it again. Okay, curate your content. Okay, you always want to, make sure you're reusing or using or adding to the content that you've created. Guest post on influential blogger websites. You want to add statistics, numbers, and quotes to your content. Make it engaging. Make it look like you've done your homework. You could share all your content, not just on social media, but, platforms like SlideShare. Now, you can share it on all social media platforms. I'd highly recommend it. And again, you can even repurpose it as a blog post. So if it's a podcast, then, you can recite that podcast in the form of a blog. Okay, so get some testimonials that support some of your content. Again, create a podcast, you could send out an email with a survey or trying to solicit some testimonials. Or if you post something on Facebook, leverage the feedback you get from Facebook in the form of a testimonial. Okay, and then you want to promote your blog post for maximum success, and a lot of that means SEO. So make sure you do your due diligence and get the right keywords in that blog post. Okay, so you can create personas for different user audiences. Okay, so remember, it's all about tone. Okay, so if you're going to create a blog post, make sure your tone is aligned with that right audience, whether that be young, middle-aged, or older. Are you choosing the right type of content? Okay, you'll know based on the results. Okay, you want to add H1 and H2 tags on your web pages. Why? Because when we're talking about content, we're talking about organizing the content. And H1 and H2s help you organize the content appropriately. Customize the metadata. Metadata is title tag and meta tag descriptions and even alt tags. Okay, all of that is for search. So you want your content to show up in search, whether that's video, infographic, or blog post. All of it can be shown in search results. So make sure you write a good title and make sure you write a good meta description, because that's what people are going to see when they search. Okay, so you want to create a detailed summary and title. And again, that goes along with the title tag and meta description. And then you want to make it easy for the audience to ask questions and comment on your blog. So don't be afraid, like I'm going to do right now in this video, is if I'm missing anything from this checklist, feel free to comment. Hey, I've written my fair share of content, but I could be talking to an audience that is just as qualified as I am, and they may have some tips. So feel free to comment underneath this video. Now, don't be afraid to ask, just like I just did. People are always willing to provide constructive feedback. So don't be afraid to ask for it and make it easy. So to me, every blog post needs to have some form of a comment box, because blog posts are out there to solicit engagement.
ROMI. This may not be the term that is bandied about inside your organization. It's certainly not a term that is bandied about in the industry, but it's actually the one that you want to use. So let me explain. What is in it for you to measure this? This actually begins to position you not as the company's next CMO, it may position you as the company's next CEO. Because guess what? The CFO is not the top of the food chain. And the CFO has generally been asking for the wrong thing for years. This is the right thing to demonstrate. This is the calculation you want to do. This puts you in a powerful position. First of all, you shift the conversation. You basically put yourself in a position of convincing, generally it's the CFO, that you understand finance as well as he or she does. And, most CFOs aren't expecting that from somebody in marketing. They tend to look down on us. We're merely the expense, that they have to deduct somewhere along the way in their financial calculations. Okay, fine. But here's the deal. ROI is the wrong metric. The CFO may ask for it because the CFO is used to asking for it for other kinds of things, like capital expenditures. If you're going to do a capital expenditure, like building a new factory or a plant, or you're going to stock a lot of inventory someplace, that's a capital expenditure, or what is known as CapEx. And trust me, if you are a publicly traded company, some investor out there, some industry analyst is going to want to know about your CapEx. It's something you're going to have to report on a quarterly basis. So trust me, the CFO is focused on it. But that kind of money is tied up. When you make that kind of investment, it's generally a long-term one, and you may depreciate it, but you know what? That's why everyone's sort of focused on it. It turns out marketing is not a capital expenditure. Marketing is an expense. You generally expense it over the course of a quarter. We spent some money this month on, who knows, advertising, content marketing, you fill in the blank. And if it is an operational expenditure, then it is called OpEx. And if you want to measure the impact of what you're doing in marketing, you end up using a very different formula than your CFO has been asking for years. But here's the deal. When you look across the table and say, actually, you're asking for the wrong thing, what you really want is ROMI, not ROI. And yeah, I do know how to calculate that. A return on marketing investment is basically the incremental revenue that you can attribute to your marketing. So, we've been measuring goals or micro goals, and you can measure those in revenue because what the lead is that you brought in and what it's worth, and what the sales you brought in and what they're worth, or you certainly know what percentage of those leads tend to convert to sales, and therefore you got a figure that what your sales pipeline may be valued at. Guess what? You can calculate that. And then here's the magic. You go beyond revenue. A lot of people would stop there and say, wow, that's an impressive thing. I've never reported revenue before. Aren't I a hero now? But if you take the next step and you say, and also I know what our contribution margin is. A lot of people will call that your profit margin. In other words, when you raise revenue, there's still a cost of goods sold. It takes some money to manufacture your product, or it takes some money for the people you have to pay to deliver your service. And when you're all done paying, the cost of goods sold, what's left is your profit. And that is a percentage of your revenue. And if you multiply the revenue that you brought in times the profit margin, so some percentage of that is going to turn into profit, and then you subtract what you spent on your content marketing campaign and divide by what you spent on your content marketing campaign, you come up with a number. It's your ROMI. And let me give you an example just to sort of bring this home. Let's say, for example, that you spent $100,000 on a content marketing program, and it delivered $500,000 in incremental revenue that you have been able to track and say, didn't come in from outer space. Here's the campaign we ran. We generated this. And oh, by the way, the contribution margin for that $500,000 in revenue was, let's say, 60%. In other words, it took about 40% to cover the cost of goods sold, but the profits on top of that were 60%. Where does that number come from? It's a mythical number, but it's going to vary in different organizations. So I'm just using it here to teach you the math. But I'm going to measure my results by taking that 500,000, multiplying by 60% because I want to get to the profit number. And then I'm going to subtract the 100,000 that I spent and divide by the 100,000, and I get the number 2. And you're going to say, I've never heard this number before. And the answer is neither has your CFO. But here's what it means. For every dollar that you spent on content marketing, you generated $2 in profit. Not revenue. You generated $5 in revenue. You generated $2 in profit. Now, do you want to do a little more content marketing next quarter? Let me tell you, anything that is a positive number is a good result. If you can get anything north of 1,
content marketing is becoming a key player in the digital marketing domain. If you are looking to grab a successful career in content marketing, but not limited to content marketing, Simplilearn has got you covered with a wide range of top-notch digital marketing courses. These courses make you skilled in SEO, content marketing, PPC, social media marketing, and much more with hands-on experience in tools like Google Analytics, Keyword Planner, SEMrush, and there is a huge list on the board. However, 1 year of experience is preferred to enroll in these courses. Find the course link in the description box.
Today, in an era of mobile devices, robots, and social media, content creation is the most effective inbound marketing strategy. Nearly 40% of marketers say content marketing is essential to their marketing strategy, and 81% say their company views content as a business strategy. Original and high quality content can help your company stand out and attract new customers and help your business grow. On that note, welcome to Simplilearn's YouTube channel. Today, we are here with a fantastic video on ChatGPT for content creation, which will help you create some compelling content on your desired topics. But before we begin, are you aiming to get certified as a digital marketer and want to build your career in digital marketing? Well, in that case, you can check the Professional Digital Marketing course by Simplilearn, which will open the doors for the best career opportunities. To find the details of the Professional Digital Marketing course, check the link in the description box below. It could be an ideal solution to help you build career in the right direction. And if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe to our channel Simplilearn and hit that bell icon to never miss an update from us. But before we get started, guys, I have a question for you. Is ChatGPT an application and is it available on Android? Well, let us know the answer in the comments below. So let us understand what is ChatGPT here. Now, content creation can be of any type, such as blogs, podcasts, videos, graphics, and so on. But how do you create high quality content with a few minutes? Need not be worried when we have ChatGPT. Now, even though there are numerous AI writing tools for content creation, ChatGPT stands out from the crowd due to its faster response rate, ease of use, increased productivity, support for multiple languages, and other benefits. Now, let's try to understand what exactly ChatGPT is and how to create content from it. Now, generally, ChatGPT is an open AI trained and developed model that works conversationally. ChatGPT is capable of systematically resolving all bugs while providing detailed explanation for each step it takes. So in simple words, ChatGPT is a tool that creates content for any query. ChatGPT stands out among all the other achievements of OpenAI. So let us now move ahead and understand how does ChatGPT work. Now ChatGPT uses deep learning techniques to generate human-like text, which is based on a machine learning model derived from the large language model class. Now, it is trained on a massive text data sets from the internet and learns patterns and relationship between words and phrases. It responds to a question by selecting the next word based on the context and then repeats the process until a stop condition is fulfilled. So as a result, ChatGPT can logically respond to your queries and commands. So let's see how to create content in ChatGPT. Now, as we already discussed, content creation can be of any type. So for instance, let's take blog. A blog is an online journal or a website where a writer or a group of writers share their views on an individual subject. Now there are a variety of categories for writing a blog. So let's pick one for ChatGPT here. So as you can see, we have navigated into ChatGPT and let us now ask a simple question about food blogging. Now, lately, food blogs are the most popular blogs that everyone wants to write about. So let's find out what ChatGPT has to say about it. Now, you can give any question to ChatGPT and it will answer. So I'm just writing a question here saying how to start a food blogging career. So as you can see, it is generating the answer for us. Wait for it to end. Well, as you can see, it is saying that starting a food blog can be a fun and rewarding way to share your love of food with others. So it is showing us some steps to get started in food blogging career. It is saying choose a niche, choose a name and domain, choose a blogging platform, create your blog, create high quality content, and so on. So in this way, ChatGPT will automatically generate the response for you based on the questions that you are giving input to it. Next, we will see another question on lifestyle blogs. Now, with the world on social media, everyone wants to read more about lifestyle, especially of a famous or a popular entity, what habits they adapt and what to let go of, etc. So let's explore this segment in ChatGPT as well and see what it will show the answer. So let's give the question as how to start lifestyle blogging in India. So it is giving the answer for us, guys. So it is saying that starting a lifestyle blog in India can be a great way to share your experiences and knowledge with others who share similar interests. So here are some steps to help you get started. Again, it is giving some important points for us in order to start your lifestyle blogging career, like choose your niche, choose a name and domain, choosing a blogging platform, create your blog, create high quality content, and so on.
Beginners, let me give you a few facts and figures about blogs before we dive into the topic. Did you know that there are more than 600 million blogs on the internet? And every day over 2 million blog posts are published on all those blog posts that are out there. 77% of internet users, they read blogs and they leave about 77 million comments per month on all these blog posts. So it is a massive place where you can get engagement and where you can get people talking about the things that you're writing about. Now, people that include visuals to their blogs, they will see that they get about 94% more views than those people that do not add visuals to their blog. Surprisingly, Tumblr is the most used blogging platform with over 500 million blogs out there. But there are 60 million blogs that are powered by WordPress. Also, did you know that blogs are the second most form of media used in content marketing? So, lots about blogging, lots of facts. They're out there, they're key, they're relevant, and this blog is going to introduce you to how to get started with a blog. Now, blogs have been around for a very long time. Yeah, do you know what the name of the first blog was and who created it? Was it A, B, C or D? Well, let me give you the answer. Justin Hall started links.net in 1994 as a student at a college, becoming one of the first widely read bloggers out there. In the late 1990s, the first blogs were created, primarily serving as personal journals for small groups of friends or for family. Now, in the early 2000s, blogging tools and services became more widely available, and it is also when I got my first experience in blogging, when my son went on a gap year traveling in Southeast Asia, and he shared his photos through the internet on a blog. So he found internet cafes during his journey, and in each cafe he started up his blog and added a photo. So that's how I could follow his trip. So it became easier and easier for people to start to create and maintain their own blogs. In 2002, the term blog was coined and became widely used to describe a website that serves as an online journal or a diary. So in 2004, the political world started to get an idea about the power of blogs. They emerged and played a role in shaping public opinion, influencing selections. 2005 to 2010 was the big growth of blogs, and they started to gain popularity, and they came into sort of into the more widely discussable areas like photography blogs and recipe blogs. And then in the 2010s, businesses got to see the power of blogs, and they started to use blogs as a mainstream form of communication, and for other people as self-expression, with millions of blogs covering every possible subject and serving a diverse range of audiences. So today, blogging continues to play a significant role in the rise of social media, and it has a very big impact on the way people communicate and consume information online. A fantastic tool to learn, to find out about what's happening in the world, to find out what's happening in particular niches that you're interested in, and a great way to start sharing your own opinion. So what will we be talking about? We're going to be talking about what is a blog, what skills do you need for blogging, why actually should you create a blog, what are the types of blog posts that you can create, and I'm going to show you some examples of those different types of blog posts, how do you create a blog, and I'm going to give you some blog writing tips to close off with on the video today. So let's get into it. What is a blog? Now, there are many different definitions of a blog. Yeah, a blog can be a personal blog, it can be a corporate blog, it can be a news blog. Yeah, so a personal blog is where it's a type of blog where individuals share their thoughts, their opinions, their experiences, their stories on a particular topic or a particular range. Yeah, these type of blogs are very easy to set up and they don't cost a lot of money, but it's very much with a personal focus. Businesses, they usually have corporate blogs. It's a type of blog created by a company, and it can be used for marketing, it can be used for branding, it can be used for communication purposes, for lead generation. Usually they share company news, they share product updates or industry insight. Yep, so it's also really good to engage with customers and to get in a dialogue with customers to build relationships and to create expertise in a particular niche. The third type of blog that you can see, and that's the definition of a blog, is a news blog. It's a type of blog that focuses on reporting and analyzing current events, current news stories, what's happening in the world from a particular angle. It could be one journalist, it could be a group of journalists, it could be a media organization. Yeah, and it can cover a wide range of topics, or it can focus on a particular niche like entertainment or like technology. So it can be used to create different perspectives on news stories or to supplement the traditional news stories. But if we're looking at the plain definition of a blog, if you look at all the blogs, they work from the same concept. Yeah, a blog is a type of website serving as an online journal or diary. And it consists of posts on a particular topic or a particular theme. Yeah, now a blog can be created by an individual or by businesses. And as I said earlier, they can serve different purposes. For personal, or for business, or for news. They're very easy to create blogs, and that makes them so powerful. Then you can use simple blogging software, there's lots of free tools available, and you can get started within 5 minutes. They have lots of features like commenting, and by using the commenting functions, you can allow engagement with your readers, and you can really build up a community. Now, you can find blogs on specific standalone websites, like a blog website, or you can find them on embedded within a corporate website. You could even blog on social media networks like LinkedIn or Facebook. And they often use a content management system to create a blog, to manage the blog, and to add new content, new pages on your blog. Blogging for me is the easiest way to get started with social media. Yeah, so they played a significant role in the growth of social media, and it had fundamentally changed the way businesses communicated with their customers. Yes, so and how people sort of consume information. Yeah, so blogs, they have a number of things in common. Yeah, so if you go to a blog, each blog, you will see a number of recurring things. The first thing, of course, that you see are the blog posts. They are the articles or the entries written or published on the blogs, and they can be in different presentation formats. Yeah, you can see it in little thumbnails, you can see it in the headlines, or you can see just a scroll down of all the blog posts. But the blog posts are obviously the core of each blog post. Blogs have comments. You can switch off the comments if you want, but most blogs, they have commenting, and they are an important part of a blog because they allow you to engage with the author. Yeah, or that the author can engage with their readers. So that gives a platform for discussion, for feedback, and for interaction around the blog. Yeah, when you start blogging, you may build up a big library of blogs, of blog posts. Yeah, so a common feature on every blog is that they have categories and tags. Yep, and you see them on the column on the right on blog posts. And that means that you can easily access previous content. So you're not stuck to the main article, but you give people access to other content through categories, through tags, or the most popular post, or the last 5 posts. Blogs also have an about page. What is this blog all about? It provides reader with information about the author of the blog, the purpose of the blog, the mission of the blog, so some background information. Good blogs also have a search box. It's another way where you can easily search for content that has already been published on the blog. Now, a blog without sharing buttons is like you're keeping it a secret. So one of the powerful features of a blog is that you as the author can share it on social media, but you can also ask your readers to share it on social media by using the sharing buttons. Then there is the archive section where it organizes the post by month, by year or by category, again making it easy to access previous content. And then many blogs have a call to action. So that is a button that encourages readers to take a specific action, like subscribing to the blog or downloading an ebook or signing up for a newsletter. So it's a very good tool to start creating and building your audience. And on top of that, you need to think about the design and the navigation of your blog. It's very important, and we talked about that in our other blogging video that we posted a few weeks ago. So those are the common elements of a blog. So let's dig a bit deeper. We talked about how a blog can be personal, it can be for business, it can be news, as long as it is in a specific topic. So around that topic or theme, you can start sharing your thoughts, sharing your ideas, your knowledge, and you can express yourself. So some of the most important and in-demand topics for blogs are lifestyle, like topics like fashion, beauty, health, wellness, travel, and food are very popular. They have a very wide appeal, and there's very personal relevance to readers as well. Technology is a very hot topic. So the fast change of technology and innovation, technological developments, there's always something to write about. There's always news around technology. So that is a very hot topic. Another topic is personal finance. People love to know more about how to manage their finances, and blogs can be a really good way to help the readers and giving them tips in how to manage their finance in a range of topics, from savings, investing, debt management, and budgeting. There's blogs about business and entrepreneurship. They are very popular. From starting a new business, to growing an existing one, how to relate to your customers. There's a huge demand for blogs around the theme of business and business support. Now, there's news websites, there's news blogs around current events that cover the latest news. They are popular, they can focus on a particular area like like politics or technology, or they can cover a more broad range as well. There's creative blogs, creative writing, creative literature, writing. So blogs that are about creative writing and about literature, they can be a great source of inspiration. And then finally, personal development is a very big category in blogs, a very popular category. Personal development and self-improvement, like personal growth, self-care, self-improvement, they're really popular and they are relevant to people's day-to-day life. So these are some of the most popular blog posts and the blog topics that people are interested in. So for you, start looking into the topics if you want to start blogging, and see if you can pick a sort of a topic that is within these categories. So, is blogging difficult? Do I need a wide range of skills for blogging? Well, it's not too difficult, but of course people have lots of different questions about blogging before they start. How do I start a blog? How do I come up with ideas for my blog content? How do I get traffic to my blog? How often should I publish on my blog post? How do I monetize my blog? What should I write about? What should I include in my blog post? How do I write an exciting headline? How do I promote my blog on social media? How do I engage with my readers? How do I track the success of my blog? Lots and lots of questions. Yeah, and of course, to answer all these questions, you do need to have certain skills before you start blogging. So let's have a look at those skills. So to be successful with a blog and to successfully start a blog, there are some skills that you need. Of course, you can work on those skills, you can start building up those skills, but these are the 5 topics that are playing an important part of your blogging work, your blogging activity. There's writing, there's search engine optimization, there's marketing, there's web design, and there's social media. Yeah, so first you need to be able to write. You need to research, you need to write in a clear, concise, and engaging manner. Yep, and that is a skill in itself. And of course, when you start blogging, you may not have that much experience, but when you have been blogging for 6 months to a year, you will see that it gets easier and easier. The next thing you need to do is to be able to optimize your blog posts for search, for Google, for Bing. Yeah, so that those search engines will find your blog posts when you publish them. Yeah, and a very important part of your search engine optimization is to identify the keywords that are relevant for your business and are relevant for your blog. And then you need to understand how to use those keywords effectively. Then of course you need to market your blog. You need to grow an audience. You need to get people to subscribe to your blog. Maybe to start building an email list. Yeah, so you need to understand email marketing. You need to know online marketing to promote your blog. You need to know how to do that. You need to know where to do that. You may want to look at affiliate marketing, which means you can promote other people's products on your blog and you would get a small commission for that. Yes, so lots of marketing activities that you need to look into to publish your blog and make it become visible and make it become popular. Now, of course, there is the web design element for your blog as well. And those are skills that you need to have. There are very simple tools, as you will see later, that you can use to set up your blog. There's free tools that you can use. There's more advanced tools as well. And as with many things, with the more advanced tools and the premium tools that you use, you get more quality. You get more options. You get often a better design. Yeah, so that is the balance that you need to strike between, hey, how much do I want to do for free and want to do simple, compared to, do you want to invest some money and do you want to have a more advanced website. Yes, so that is the balance that you need to do, but you do need to have some basic web design skills. And then finally, you need to have your social media skills. Yes, social media is a key part of promoting your blog on the social web, and you need to know how to do that. You need to know how to set that up, you need to know how to create those social media posts and how to track them when you have published them. Yes, so lots of skills that you need, but it doesn't mean that you need to be an expert immediately when you start with that. Yeah, but it is important that you recognize those topics and that you start building experience for that. Okay, so if you feel that you have those skills, then is that enough for you to start creating a blog? Yeah, there's some other questions that you need to ask yourself. First of all, one of the biggest questions you need to ask yourself is, what am I going to write about? Yeah, do I have a passion for writing and sharing my knowledge about a certain topic? Do I have a passion about a theme, about a topic? Do I have a passion about technology? Do I have a passion about health? Yeah, so you need to have that passion, because when you start developing your blog and writing your blog posts, it takes time, it takes effort. And the more passionate you are about the topic that you write about, then that time and that effort doesn't matter. You don't feel like it's taking all that time because you're doing something that you really, really like. You also need to have very clear goals. Yeah, what are you going to do with your blog? Why are you having this blog? You also need to have the time and the resources to regularly create new blog posts. Yeah, because there's nothing more frustrating and nothing more damaging on your website if you start a blog, but then after 5 posts, you stop with it. Yeah, there's so many websites where you go to and then you go to the blog and the last blog post was 24 months ago. Yeah, then it almost works against you. Yeah, it shows, hey, there's a blog, but they haven't taken the effort to start the blog. Yeah, so you need to have that passion. You need to have clear goals. Now, businesses, they often have very clear goals for a blog. Yeah, they want to use a blog to increase traffic to the website, to drive conversions, yeah, to get people to the website, to get them to convert into a prospect. It helps them in contributing to their social media efforts. It's a great way to build client trust, to be seen as an expert in their field. Yep, it gets a great way for developing the brand and reinforce the key messages around the brand. It's great to differentiate yourself from your competitors, and it is a good way to encourage engagement with your customers. Yeah, so for businesses, there's almost like a no-brainer. They use blogs because they can see that they get a lot of benefits. But for you, let's take it very simple. Yeah, there are 5 reasons if you want to start your blog. There's 5 reasons why you should create a blog. Yes, first of all, if you want to express yourself creatively, then blogging is the best place to do this. Yeah, so if you are passionate about a topic and you want to share that knowledge, then blogging is the #1 place to go to. Yeah. Second, if you want to show yourself as an expert or build yourself as an expert, and you want to grow an audience around this, you want to grow a follower base who are interested in learning about what you have to say about your topic. Yeah, so if you want to establish expertise and build an audience, then you have to start using a blog for that. Thirdly, a reason why you must create a blog, yeah, if you want to build a community, if you want to network with other people, if you want to network with prospects, get them to your website, get them to convert, yeah, if you want that to grow your business, then blogging is certainly a fantastic vehicle to help you achieve that. Another reason to create a blog is that you want to enhance your writing and your thinking skills. Yeah, so blogging is not writing a book, blogging is not writing an ebook, and people may be scared of that. It may be too much of an unknown field. But start writing small, simple articles on your blog. Thereby you develop your writing and you develop your thinking skills. Very good reason for you to start blogging. You don't even have to publish it. You can just keep it your private blog. Yeah, but then when you feel comfortable, you can then start publishing it. And then finally, and that's how I started as well with my own business, if you want to start making money, if you want to start your own business, then a blog is a fantastic vehicle to help position you in your market, in your industry. Yeah, so it's a great vehicle that can help you to become self-employed or make more money. So lots of reasons for you to start creating a blog. Yeah, so now that we've seen what you need, yeah, for creating and start blogging, yeah, why you should start blogging, let's have a look at the different types of blog posts that you can create on your blog. There are many different types of posts, and I'll give you a list of them in a minute. And each blog post, each type of blog post, they serve a different purpose and a different requirement from the readers. But there are some reasons that apply to every reader. First of all, your blog post must provide value. Yeah, different readers have different preferences to the type of content they like to read, but value is the same for everybody. Yeah, so if you provide value to your readers, you keep them engaged, and very important, you keep them coming back. Another common characteristic for all blog posts is that you need to keep them fresh and you need to keep them interesting. So it means you need to make sure that the content is up to date, but also that you do a variety of post types, because that keeps it fresh, that keeps it interesting. It also sort of helps in breaking up the monotone sort of style of a blog. Yes, so use different content styles, use different formats, use different visuals to keep your content alive and interesting. Another common element for all blog posts is you need to cater to the different learning styles. Some people may want to read text-based blog posts. Some people may want to see more visual content or infographics. Some people may want to see video content. Yeah, so offer that variety in your blog posts so you can cater for different type of audiences with different type of learning styles. And then, very important, with a blog, and each blog post sort of caters for that, it showcases your authority. Yeah, by offering different types of blog posts, you can demonstrate that you're the expert. Regardless the type of blog post that you do, but people will come back to your blog if they see you as, yeah, this person knows what he's talking about. And that can help you build credibility with the readers and establish yourself as a thought leader in your industry. Yeah, so overall, offering a variety of different types of blog posts can help you attract readers, but not only that, you can retain your readers and you may get them back. Yeah, they may become part of your audience as long as you showcase your expertise and keep your content fresh and interesting. So, given those common elements of blog posts, let's look at some different types of blog posts. The most popular blog posts are list-based posts. Yeah, they provide a list of tips, of resources, or other information on a specific topic. People love lists. People love the top 5 things in this, or 10 things you may have missed. Yeah, a really good example of a list-based post is Lifehacker. Lifehacker gives you life hacks. Yes, so 9 food labels that don't mean what you think they mean. Yeah, 15 ways to build a better breakfast sandwich. 9 of the most dangerous driving emergencies. Little tips, list of tips. People love those. And the way they are presented on this blog is actually quite interesting. Yeah, instead of having a long article about this, they actually have a short introduction, but they do them as slideshows. Why not? Yeah, it's visual. Yeah, so here is one. Yeah, so here is the next slide. Yeah, so black eyes. Here you see a little highlight of what it's about. Yeah, animals in the road. Next one is a car with mattress flapping on the rooftop may look funny, but you don't want to be behind it. Yes, so lots of good tips, and people love these type of blogs. The next one is thought leadership posts. So they express the author's thoughts or feelings on a specific topic. And particularly for businesses, these are very important because by building thought leadership, which means being seen as an expert in your field, you're also building trust. Now, one of the best thought leadership blogs in the industry is Harvard Business Review. Yeah, so lots of articles on a lot of different topics around business. Yeah, here you see the different categories, the different media formats. Yeah, and here you see the different blogs that they're writing about. Yes, so generative AI can help you tailor messaging. Here is the article. Yeah, and here you see also the call to action that we talked about. Subscribe to Harvard Business Review. Yeah, they have here options to monetize the blog. And here you talk about subscribe. Yeah, subscribe. All simple call to actions. Here is a summary of the article. Here's the article itself. We talked about that. Here's the social sharing button. Yeah, here's the visual that they use. So all the aspects that we talked about earlier are available in this blog. Yeah, but these are typical thought leadership blogs that can really help in developing yourself as an expert. Case study blogs, they are sort of blogs with articles that give an in-depth analysis of a single topic. Yeah, so typically to prove a point or back up an argument. Yeah, so this is kind of background information to make your point. So good example for that is HubSpot. Yeah, so HubSpot is a marketing automation system. They have one of the best blogs in the industry, yeah, where they give lots of background information on all the different social media, digital marketing topics that you can find. Yeah, so here you see how a homepage of a blog, yeah, can be organized. That is your featured post. Here you have more featured posts. You see it's very visual. Here you have the last sort of blog posts. Here you see last categories and the blog posts. Call to action here. Yeah, another category. And then to make it more exciting, we'll add videos to this page as well. Yeah, so good example of a case study blog, yeah, and a general blog with all the features that it needs. You then have video and audio blogs. Video becomes more and more important as a channel of communication. Yeah, so start using video. We also have seen the growth of podcasting. Start using audio, yeah, and use those as part of your blogging strategy as well. Here's a good example. Yeah, that is SoundCloud. Now, SoundCloud is a website which is kind of the YouTube for audio. Yeah, for podcasts, for audio files. And here you see their blog, which is a good mix of news, resources, audio files, blog posts with text, yeah, and video files as well. So it's a perfect combination of all the elements that we're talking about here. Yeah, so very important to use video and audio blogs as well. Here are some more types of blogs. Newsjacking or news posts. They provide information on recent events or developments in a specific industry. Yeah, so good news hacking website is Wired. Yeah, specifically focus on technology. Yeah, and it is a go-to place for the latest news on technology. You see a very clear style. You see it on the visuals as well. Yeah, and it is a news kind of portal, yeah, which gives you access to all the blog posts. It doesn't really look like a blog, it looks like a news portal. And that is, particularly for news websites, a very common way of using a blogging platform to create a news portal. Okay, we're then looking at infographics posts. Now, you may have heard of infographics. They are graphics that simplify complex materials with a chart, graphs, and graphics. Yep, and you can do blog posts around those as well. Yep, one of my favorites, and you should follow them on Facebook and on LinkedIn, The Visual Capitalist. The Visual Capitalist has every day they come out with a new chart, or a new infographic on a particular topic. So here you see an infographic on the top 50 most visited websites in the world. So here's the infographic, and then here is the text, sort of the background information about it. So here's the visuals. So you see Google, you see YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. So here you see how that all sort of, how that develops. So with the text, subscribe to it. So good visual comparison. So very powerful website. So use those type of websites. Use that type of way of presenting your information. We then look at how-to posts. They offer a detailed instruction on how to do a particular task. People love those. A good example of a how-to blog is Seth Godin's blog. Where he has very simple design for his blog, but this is all about the content. So he has a story of the week or his top 100 posts. So how to tell a great story, advice for author, how to be remarketed, how to write an ebook, how to do permission marketing, an email checklist, very down to earth, simple how-to tips when it comes to business. Very straightforward, very popular blog when it comes to how-to posts. And then last but not least, a very powerful type of blog is the guest post. So why would you write on your own blog? Why can't you be a guest blogger on somebody else's post? It has lots of benefits from a search engine perspective as well for the author of the blog, because you have other websites that recognize your expertise in your area. They invite you to write about that, and Google sees that as a high authority ranking signal for your search. Good example of a guest post is Neil Patel, who has his own website, has his own blog, is really well recognized as a digital marketing expert. And here he is writing an article as a guest on the HubSpot blog. So very useful, very powerful way, and very powerful type of blog post that you can write. Okay, so those are the different blog posts. So let's look at how you go about creating a blog. There's a number of steps that you need to look at. First of all, you need to look at what is the CMS or the blogging platform that you're going to use. It's a very important decision for bloggers, because there's several sort of decisions that you need to make here. First of all, you're going to look at, am I going to use a simple platform, which is often free to begin with, or am I going professional straight away? So if you're going simple, then you can go for tools like WordPress.com or Wix.com. They will host the website for you, and those are the typical tools that give you some basic functionality. In the free version, you will have your website up and running within 5 minutes, but then if you want more functionality, you pay a bit more. Now, or you want to decide to go professional, which means you're going to go to a web hosting provider and you're going to install your own website on their servers. And one of the most popular platforms for that is WordPress.org, which is a different version of WordPress. WordPress.org gives you a lot more flexibility, a lot more freedom, a lot more plugins, but it is a bit more complicated to set up. And there is some, the WordPress itself doesn't cost you any money, but the hosting will cost you money. The questions that you need to ask yourself, whether you want to go simple or complex, are, what do you want your blog to do? Do you just want to get it for your sharing your expertise, or do you want to monetize your blog? Yeah, do you want to run it as the website for your business, for instance? What are your technical skills? Do you have very limited technical skills? You may want to go for a hosted version on WordPress.com or Wix or Weeble. Yeah, do you have sufficient technical skills? You may want to go for the WordPress.org version, which is the hosted version. You need to think about your budget. Yeah, do you have budget to use a hosted platform? Yep, and of course you need to look at the features of the platforms that you use. Can you find yourself in the features that you want to use for that? Yeah, so that is the first question that you want to ask yourself. Where are you going to host your website? And that is, what blogging platform are you going to use? Step 2 is you're going to look at your domain name. Of course, very important. That is the name of your website, the name of your blog. It's a unique web address that is identified, that identifies your blog on the internet. Yeah, so when you choose your domain name, make sure it is memorable, it is reflective of your brand, people recognize it, it's available on other social media websites as well. Yep, so it hasn't been taken by other people on Facebook or Instagram. Yeah, and maybe use your keywords that are relevant for your blog. So lots of things that you need to do. If you want to have a domain, then you can check on sites like GoDaddy if the domain name is available. Yeah, then when you have it, you can then buy it, and you usually pay the register for a year or for 2 years. If it's a very simple name that is not very popular, then it often costs you maybe $10. If it is a more popular name that hasn't been registered yet, you may pay more. Okay, so then you also need to think about the extension of your domain. Is it going to be a .com? Is it going to be a .net? Is it going to be a .org? Or is it going to be a country extension like .nl for the Netherlands? Yes, so or .fr for France. Common rule is, if you're targeting a local market, take the URL of the local market. If you're targeting a global market, go for the .com or the .net, but preferably the .com. If you're a government organization, then you want to usually stick to the .org. Then, of course, you will have checked the availability of your domain, and then you're going to register the domain. Yes, so you provide your contact information, you pay a small or a large fee, depending on the popularity of the name. And then in your website, your blog setup, you're going to connect the domain to your blog. So that means updating the name servers in your domain's register account. So it then points to your blog hosting account. Yeah, so a very simple or good provider you can go to is godaddy.com or .co.uk, and they give you everything. Yeah, so type the domain that you want. Yeah, they can help you create your website. They have different types of services. They do domain names, they do website and hosting, and they do email marketing. They have really good support. Yeah, so if you want to type your domain, so let's take, for instance, company ABC is going to be my domain. Yep, and you see here, companyabc.co.uk is available. Yes, so here's the company letter you see. If you want to use that one, it's a premium name. So here you see all the different varieties on the name. Yeah, here basiccompany.com, that would cost you £3,000 because it is quite a popular name. Yeah, so it is available, but yeah, value for money. Okay, so that is your choosing your domain name. Then you're going to look at your hosting plan. And your hosting plan is very important. You will only select a hosting plan if you go for a hosted blog solution. Yeah, so which you do with WordPress.org, for instance. So basically, when you select your hosting plan, you buy a bit of storage space on the servers of that hosting provider. And on that bit of storage space, you install your website. And then the service, the hosting provider, will connect that to the internet. So they provide the technology and the support to store and maintain your website. Yes, so that is a very important part. And again, you need to consider your budget, and you also need to consider your website requirements. You need to look at the reliability and the speed and the uptime. Yeah, so a reliable hosting provider, they offer you high uptime percentage and fast loading times. That is very important. Yep, and you need to very carefully look at customer support. Yeah, so make sure they offer 24/7 support, preferably with a chat option, because often you have to wait a long time to get access, and if you have a chat option, it's much easier to get your problems solved. And a very important part of your hosting plan as well is your security. Yeah, make sure that there is a spam protection on your website, and also look at your HTTPS. Yeah, so get your SSL certificate for your website. Yes, so now some popular hosting providers you can look at include GoDaddy, Bluehost, HostGator, DreamHost. Take the time to research them, yeah, and evaluate each option, and certainly look at the customer reviews as well. Next step is you're going to design your blog. Yeah, so once you've created or you selected your hosting provider, you're then going to set up your blog, and you would install WordPress.org. Yeah, and then you're going to create your website. Now, the first thing that most of those CMS platforms will ask you is, what theme do you want to pick? And they have a whole library of themes that you can pick and choose from. And there's lots of websites that allow you to buy themes, whether it's a photography theme, a health theme, a business theme, yep, and then you can just buy that theme, install it in your WordPress setup, yep, and then you download the demo for it, and then you have your website. The only thing you have to do is change the content and the visuals, and your website is ready. Yes, so very important that you pick a very powerful sort of theme. You then can customize the theme with your own photos, your own logo, your own color schemes, your own options, so you can make it a unique look and feel. You then add your own images. Yeah, you customize the header of the website. So, and then you can use custom widgets, small modules that you can add to your website that do things like sign up for my newsletter, or click on the RSS feed of your website, etc. And then often you can add your own sort of HTML coding or CSS coding as well to give your website additional functionality. A really good place to buy themes is themesforest.net. Yeah, so there's a whole range of themes. You can say, for instance, give me an entertainment themes. Here you see entertainment themes could be, so you want WordPress, yeah, for instance, WordPress themes. And then you just pick a theme. Yeah, you can actually do a live preview of the theme. Yeah, and this is, here, see the demos. We want the no coding, so take for instance this one here, taste the difference. And here you see immediately how your website will look like, how your blog will look like. Yeah, so then you download the theme, install it on WordPress, download the demo, and again then the only thing you have to do is change the text and the visuals, yeah, and some design elements. So it's so easy. There's not a single line of programming that you have to do these days. yeah, when it comes to your web development. And that is a big concern that people had. Do I still have to program? No, you don't. It's all sort of intuitive. Step 5, start creating your content. Of course, when your blog is live, when your blog is up and running, you need to start creating content for your blog by writing posts, adding images, creating pages, organizing your content, using the categories and the tags, making it easier for people to find. Now, before you can start writing your posts, of course, you need to know what you're going to write about. Yeah, what is your focus? What is your niche? What are your interests? What is your passion? You need to do keyword research around those topics. Yeah, so that gives you the ability to understand what your target audience want to read about. Yeah, use tools like Google Keyword Planner, and we've done an earlier video on how to use Google Keyword Planner to find relevant keywords for your blog. Create an editorial calendar, very important. Know that every week you're going to do a blog post. Yeah, so every Monday you need to draft a post, Wednesday you want to publish it. Yeah, so look forward. Maybe write 4 or 8 blog posts in advance, and then you are ready for the next 8 weeks. Then start writing your first blog post, yeah, that introduces the blog and introduces your niche. Create a content strategy, have a visual strategy, and optimize your blog posts for search. Using the keywords, yeah, and using the meta tags for your blogs. So that is really important because Google loves to show blog posts higher up in the search results. Now remember, it takes time. Quality content takes time and effort. So take the time to research your topics and make sure that you write compelling and informative blog posts and promote your content on social media and other channels so that drives traffic back to your website. And then finally, we're going to look at how to share your blog. Very important. You need to promote your blog and you need to track your performance. Yeah, so share your blog on social media platforms. Engage with your audience when they have comments or when they give feedback. Use email marketing to promote your blog. Yeah, collaborate with other bloggers or websites in your niche. Try to get those guest blogging opportunities and use paid advertising to promote your blog. Yes, so it's an ongoing effort and it requires consistent effort. Yeah, on the tracking side, use Google Analytics. So set up your blog with Google Analytics. So you get information about traffic, about your audience, and about your most popular pages and your most popular blog posts. Yeah, so you can track specific actions in Google Analytics. So how many people are signing up for the newsletter, for instance. Monitor your social media analytics. How popular are your blog posts, the Facebook posts about your blog on Twitter or on Facebook or on Instagram. Yeah, look at open rates, click-through rates, and regularly review your blog's performance and adjust your strategy if necessary. Yeah, so very important part. Don't keep your blog a secret. Start promoting it high and wide. Okay, so let's close the session with some writing tips. First of all, know your audience. Understand who is your target audience and what are they looking for in your blog. Yeah, we talked about customer personas. Create customer personas for your key audiences. Yep, and you're writing for them. You're not writing for yourself. You need to hit the language that resonates with your audience. Be authentic. Write in your own voice. Let your personality shine through. Don't write anonymous. Yeah, people want to see the writer, the author behind the article. Yeah, make sure that you research your topic, because that will help you in writing authoritatively And then when you write authoritatively, you provide value to your readers. Don't limit yourself to text. Use images, use videos to supplement your writing. Make your blog visually appealing. It goes without saying, edit, proofread, proofread, proofread. There's nothing more frustrating than typos in your blog posts. Make sure your writing is clear, it is simple, it is polished, and there's no typos in there. Just copy your blog text, put it in a word processor, and then do a spelling checker. Then finally, be consistent. Consistency is key to building your audience and for your readers to come back. And be consistent in the timing as well. Try to do it daily or weekly or monthly, but give that consistency to your readers. And if you take all these things together and you are passionate about a topic, then I'm sure you're going to be successful with your blog.
Content marketing is becoming a key player in the digital marketing domain. If you are looking to grab a successful career in content marketing, but not limited to content marketing, Simplilearn has got you covered with wide range of top-notch digital marketing courses. These courses make you skilled in SEO, content marketing, PPC, social media marketing, and much more with hands-on experience in tools like Google Analytics, Keyword Planner, SEMrush, and there is a huge list on the board. However, 1 year of experience is preferred to enroll in this course. Find the course link in the description box.
People may experience various difficulties in writing blogs, articles, or copyrights. For example, some may struggle to find a time to sit down and write something out, or they may struggle to get the creative ideas flowing and think of something new and interesting to write about. Whatever the difficulty is, but it is essential to move around and try to write something that you are proud of. It may not be perfect, but it is unique to you and can be a great way to express yourself. So, if you are looking for a free AI writing tool that will automate your articles, blogs, or copyrights, etc., you have come to the right place. This video will introduce you to our top 5 free AI writing tools available today. On that note, welcome to Simplilearn. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe to our Simplilearn YouTube channel and click the bell icon to be the first one to know about the latest trending videos. Now, without further delay, let's see the top 5 free AI writing tools or websites. The first one is WriterMe. Writer is an AI writing tool that can generate many different types of content. This can be used for website copywriting, creating marketing and sales copy, writing full blog posts, and many more. Here, you can generate 10,000 characters per month, which means you can write up to 10,000 characters every month, and once your 10,000 characters of that particular month is completed, it will be restored in the next month. And personally, I recommend this tool to write any types of copywriting. The link below in the description will directly take you to the writer's free plan. Sign up to the website and enjoy the free plan of Writer. And the second one is Jasper.ai. Jasper can write original content creatively, including blogs, articles, social media posts, website copy, etc. To claim a free access to Jasper, please click on the link in the description. Here, you can claim up to 10,000 words for free. That is, you can write up to 10,000 words available in its free plan. Most of the people don't use their free trial of Jasper because while logging into the website, it will ask for the credit card number. But you can give the credit card number because unless and until you complete your free trial and shift to premium, the money won't be deducted. If you like the feature of Jasper, you can continue with your premium. If not, log out from the website. And the third one is WriteSonic. WriteSonic is an AI-powered copyright tool that will generate a unique and engaging marketing content for any types of business in seconds. With a few lines of text, WriteSonic will generate ads, blog posts, landing pages, product description, and many more. Here, you will get a free trial for all the features with 650 words per user. Once you are done with the free trial, you can opt the premium plan, which is available for $12.67, where you will get 40,500 words per user. The link mentioned below in the description will directly take you the free plan of WriteSonic. And the fourth one is WriteCream. The WriteCream is a creative AI-powered marketing tool that utilizes the advanced machine learning to write a copy of Google Ads, landing pages, product descriptions, blog posts, social media, and many more. Here, you will get up to 20 credits, that is 40,000 characters, in which you can write 2 long articles of 5,000 words and 4 short articles of 1,000 words. If you are comfortable with the WriteCream, you can go for its premium plan, which charges $29 per month. And WriteCream has an amazing offer of getting all these features for lifetime only for $59. And the last one is ScaleNet. It is the combination of next generation technologies like AI and NLP and a seamless content creation process to create a content that exceeds the rest. It enables you to improve your content's readability, efficiency, and overall output. You can get a trial of ScaleNet by clicking on the link below in the description. Here, you will get 2000 words, 40 plus AI tools, 2 SEO reports, and many more. You can also go for the premium plan for 924 rupees per month. With this, we have reached the end of this session. Today, we learned top 5 AI writing tools that will help you write any copyright.
Starting out, what are the essential components of a good web content? Okay, so essential components. Okay, so what do we want our content to do? Well, we want it to be useful. So web content should be written in a way which caters to what the reader wants. Okay, so somebody's not going to read your content if it's not useful for them. Okay, this because it affects reader engagement. Okay, so if it's not interesting, it's not useful, somebody's just not going to read it. Plain and simple. It also has to be engaging. So listen, even if it is relevant to a user, you still have to write the content so it's engaging. So you want to add elements like imagery, videos. Hey, you could even turn your content into an infographic. Okay, you want to do something that's going to be engaging for the user. If it's engaging, they're going to read it and engage with the content. Okay, and then good content should have some call to action. So content must be written in a way that can drive call to action. Okay, so if you're writing a blog post, I've seen a lot of blog posts just simply start and end with good content, but it doesn't leave the user with anywhere to go. So have that call to action. Put some internal links in that content. Give somebody a place to go after they're done engaging with the good content that you write. Okay, so some other things to think about, some other components for good content. Well, credibility. So, anybody can write, but are you writing about something you know what you're writing about? Are you a good talking point, a good expert, or have experience about this content? So you also want to use, information from a legitimate source. Okay, so you don't want to grab something and use it in your content that's just not legitimate, because it does hurt your credibility and the organization's credibility. And then also originality. Write something that nobody else has written. So obviously you don't want to plagiarize, because if you plagiarize, and there are tools out there where people can easily just put their content in there to see what else is out there, see if somebody else has plagiarized it. So it's very easy to find people who plagiarize. So don't be that person. What I would recommend, create a good content calendar and come up with some ideas before you write them. Next question related to content marketing. So what are the types of content you can create? Well, there are a lot of things you can create. Start with the blog. Blog, to me, is always a great place to start. It's a blank canvas for your ideas, your thoughts, your opinions. Okay, that's a great thing about a blog. It accentuates personality. You can create a video. Videos are always engaging. You can create an infographic. Infographics to me are, a hidden gem. Instead of somebody reading the same old, you're laying this out in a very visual way that's easy to understand. Create a case study. Okay, so if you're digital marketing expert, done social media for another client, write about it. Show the successes, show that you are an expert, show that you've created successful campaigns in social in the form of a case study. You can create a white paper. White papers are good educational pieces. You can also create an ebook. Okay, ebook, hey, if you have a lot of content, you want to lay it out, an ebook's a good way to go. I mean, you have a lot of choices here when it comes to content, a lot of choices. Okay, so what are the advantages of having a content calendar? So I alluded to that just a couple of seconds ago. So let's really break this down here because content calendars to me are so important. Well, first of all, calendar part of content calendar allows you to think about dates. So if you're planning something, you're going to have important dates in mind. Okay, so content calendar almost ensures you don't miss anything, that's a good opportunity for you to leverage, like, Black Friday, Cyber Monday. It's probably important when those days are if you're in e-commerce. So that's why having a content calendar helps. It helps you plan out your content based on important dates, or based on dates that work for what you're trying to do. They also help because you could stick to a consistent schedule. Okay, so if you don't have a content calendar, you're probably just arbitrarily writing content here and there. Well, what if your users crave and really engage with the content? They're gonna want more. Sticking to something consistent is going to really get people to come back for more. They know when you're going to post. They're going to be waiting for it. And if it's every Tuesday morning at 8 o'clock, hey, post it Tuesday morning at 8 o'clock. Your users will get used to that schedule. And it does help build up your following. It does help build up your community. And in the end, cultivates a long-lasting relationship. And then having a content calendar also allows you to mix up your content. Okay, so you can see and plan ahead different types of content in different formats. That way it allows you to mix it up. Okay, whether it be a blog post, an infographic, a video about different topics. Okay, some other advantages here: saving time. It just allows you to prepare for the future. When you can prepare, you're efficient. And when you're efficient, you're not wasting time. And so to me, having a content calendar is a must, because a lot of us are busy. Who has time? And especially if you're going to work in a new company, so let's say writing content, you definitely want to have a content calendar because you're going to want to use that time to efficiently plan. This is a new company you're going to start working at. You want to understand who this company is, what they've done in the past, what you haven't done, and what you want to do. Okay, so all of that helps you plan and prepare, and it saves you the time and effort and hassle down the road. And then at the end of the day, you want to be able to figure out what works. So planning your posts puts less strain on you and your team members, as well as company resources, because when you plan and you post, you're going to get data. And then when you get data, it's either going to work or not work. And if it doesn't work, then in the future, you're not going to put that piece of content or that topic in the content calendar again. It's that simple. Okay, some other advantages: fresh content. Okay, so having a content calendar allows you to always keep content fresh. Again, you're going to be on a consistent schedule, and you're not going to be writing about the same things over and over again. So it could be just simply Twitter. If you're putting a content calendar and together for Twitter, well, you don't want to have the same tweets every other day. So it does ensure that you're getting tweets out there that are fresh, that are new, that are different. And again, figure out what works. A content calendar makes it easier to measure results and optimize performance. So you always want to, maybe put some metrics in with your content calendar so you can see side by side content historically that has performed, content that has not performed. Okay, so next question you may get: what type of content works in each stage of the customer life cycle? So you have awareness, engagement, purchase, post-purchase, advocacy. Okay, so let's break these down here. So awareness, okay, so you want people to understand who you are. Okay, that could be a guest blog, an influencer helping you out. It could be a cold email, a video that can potentially go viral, a social media post, introducing a product. You have engagement. So you want people to engage with your content. What are you going to do to get people to engage? Well, you could certainly write an email and have people open that email and go to your website. You can have an ebook where people can actually download and read it. Or you can have a blog where people can comment, or a landing page where they can fill out a form submission. You have evaluation. So with social media, we know there's a lot of engagement going on, but when you're putting content out there, you can certainly open it up to testimonials. Okay, you can generate white papers. Okay, or you can generate case studies. Case studies are a good way for companies to evaluate what you've done in the past. If you've worked for a specific product in the past and it's worked, you certainly want to put that out there for potential clients in that same industry. purchase. Trying to get people to purchase, what are you going to do? Well, you can certainly have landing pages, a nice, website, a nice shopping cart with some nice content. Okay, onboarding emails. Get those emails out there and get people to go back to the website and purchase. Of course, you can have product and service details as well, meaning, one page downloadable PDFs that describe the product. Okay, you have post-purchase. Okay, so people who've already purchased, you can certainly send out follow-up emails. You can do blog roundups, give people an opportunity to see what features or updates are happening to the product. Okay, of course, case studies of repeat customers or content types that detail a new feature or service. Okay, so if somebody's already purchased, you may want to send them some content of another product that complements the product they bought. So a lot of things you can do to engage with your user who's already purchased. And then advocacy. You want people to help you out here. So have the user generate the content. You can have exclusive discounts for your community. They're going to be your advocates, so give them exclusive discounts. And then pictures of customers engaging with your products. Okay, who's not going to share that? So you're going to have people share that information. In other words, you can generate content where, hey, people can help you out here and be your advocate. Okay, so how do you decide what topic and subject to write on? Okay, well, going back to the content calendar, that always helps you to see what you've put in that content calendar. But there are some other methods you can use. And you could certainly identify your target audience. And not only identify your target audience, but what their needs are. Okay, so you can write content based on audience. So you could certainly do some research with keywords. Okay, what's trending? What keywords are not trending? Okay, and write around what's trending, for example. Okay, you could certainly take a look at social media, for example, Quora. I always look at Quora. Quora is interesting, entertaining, informational. Hey, people are certainly having conversations on Quora. And you can certainly analyze those conversations because they certainly get in depth, and you can decide, hey, do I want to write a topic around something that really just won't go away in terms of conversing? Quora is a good example of analyzing conversations. They tend to be a little bit more in depth. So some other things you could do, you can look at your competitors and what kind of conversations are happening on your competitors' blogs or your competitors' social media platforms and pages. You can keep track of blogs and articles from subject matter experts, commentators, critics, and so on. Okay, so you can get ideas from them. Another question you may get, which is very important, if you're going to start working for a company, you need to understand the tone of your content, because that is going to fit and be in line with the company you're working for. Okay, so you're always going to have a brand personality. So the characteristics of a brand are the guidelines based on which the content strategy is developed. The tone of the content must align itself to the content strategy. Your audience profile. So you need to determine who your audience is. Okay, and how the brand wants to be seen by that audience. So, if you have an older audience, you're not going to use younger audience, i.e. street lingo or today's lingo in the younger generation. You're going to use, language that's going to fit the audience you're talking to. And then, of course, the channel itself. So the content you create must be irrespective of the channel and consistent with brand attributes. Okay, so you gotta pick and choose the channel. If it's LinkedIn, for example, hey, LinkedIn's more business oriented. Okay, so you're not gonna be, as humorous as you would be, say, on Instagram or Facebook. All of these have one thing in common. Again, that's brand guidelines. You have to stay within the brand. What is the brand's personality? How do we want to talk to our audience? And what platform are we using to talk to our audience? How do you promote your content once it's live? Well, that's always a good question. Hey, you doing the work, putting in the hard work to create this, it could be a video, and videos take a long time. It could be an infographic, an ebook. Okay, so send it out via email. Okay, if you have an email list, send it out and let people know this content's there. Put a link in the email or even a piece or snippet or preview of the content in the email. So you're using the email to broadcast and encourage people to, if it's an ebook, get the rest of the ebook. Okay, you can certainly leverage social media to engage with your community. That's the best, just as good as email. Get out there and let people know, hey, I got my book published. Come and download it. You can give a discount to the first 100 people that download it. Okay, you can always promote your content via ads. So whether that be Google or Facebook, you always have an opportunity to be more prominent by advertising the content that you have to offer. So you can always reach out on social media, again, targeting interesting people directly. So you can always interact with people on social. Or you can write for others, attract people from the web to important pages of your website by guest posting. So you can always go onto a popular blog post and write something and, link it up or have it be relevant to the content you've written. So next question, how can you determine how well your content is doing? Okay, very important. Again, you've done all the work, you've put the content calendar together, you got the content ready to go, it's published, you're promoting it, social, email, guest blogging, but you want to determine how it's doing. Well, depends on the channel, really is what it comes down to. So if it's organic search, you want to be able to see if it's ranking for the keywords you optimize that content for. If it's social, you want to be able to see if you have engagement, shares, comments, etc. Of course, you can always look at analytics and see how much traffic that blog post is getting or that page with the white paper is getting. Okay, so you can always look at your analytics and look at the traffic. Okay, and again, you can always look to see if there are conversions in the form of an inquiry or lead or sale. So at the end of the day, you want to align the content with the channel and you want to align the KPI with the content in channel. Okay, so if it's social, you're not likely going to get conversions unless you're doing paid ads. If you're posting organically on social, then you're probably going to get some engagement. So you have to align the right metric with the right channel. What are the steps involved in the content marketing process? Okay, so you really need to decide what goal you want to achieve with the content marketing campaign. So that goes back to what I was just saying a minute ago. If you have content you post it on social, then what's the goal? What are you trying to achieve? Well, you're probably going to get engagement and likes. You need to define buyer personas to determine the audience best suited for your content. Okay, so you're always writing for an audience and you're going to market that content for that audience. So you always got to keep that in mind. Okay, run content audits to determine the best type of content that can be used. In other words, how did it perform? What kind of engagement did you get with the infographic? Or did that video really perform well? Or do we want to use, a blog post next time around or an image next time around? So continuing on here, you want to choose an appropriate content management system. Okay, so how are we managing all this content? Okay, is it WordPress or is it another platform? Okay, you could start brainstorming for ideas for new content. So again, that goes back to the content calendar. You leverage your content calendar to always create ideas for new content. Okay, then you want to settle on a particular type of content that you want to create. Okay, so once you come up and you're managing your content, you come up with some ideas, then you obviously want to choose the format. And then, of course, you want to publish and manage your content after it's all said and done. So these are the steps involved. Again, just quickly decide on the goal, the KPI, decide on your audience, look at what's worked and not worked in the past, get your content set up in the platform, okay, or get the platform ready to go, I should say. Okay, generate ideas with that content calendar, or ideally go to the content calendar for the ideas. Choose that type and then publish and manage. And when I say manage, I mean, again, going back to analytics or going back to the KPI that you aligned with that content to see if it's performing or not. Okay, so next question here. How do you target the right audience for your content? It's a very good question. You're not writing content for everyone. Let's be honest here. So you have to collect demographics of your target audience based on who's coming to your website, based on who's subscribed to your emails, based on who's following you on social media. So in other words, you have people interacting with you, okay, in different channels, and you need to understand who these people are. So, do they fit a certain age range or generation? Are they skewed more female to male? Education level? What's their affinity or interest? Okay, do they have a certain income? So you need to really break down your audience here, and you could do that in analytics. You could do that on social. You can do that just by looking at your email list. Okay, all those will paint a picture as to who your audience is.
So here we wrap up content marketing course. If you have any queries regarding any concept in the video, Feel free to add it in the comment section and our experts will be happy to help you. Do subscribe to Simplilearn to stay updated with new technology trends. Thanks for watching.
Hi there, if you like this video, subscribe to the Simplilearn YouTube channel and click here to watch similar videos. To nerd up and get certified, click here.